and gentlemen,
BBC Radio Leicester
Sport.
Well, good morning and welcome to us here on BBC Radio Leicester Sport. Feels very strange to say that as Leicester City come to the end of their pre-season preparations in Asia. There is just a week to go until their big championship season opener against M69 rivals Coventry. With this, the final chance for the manager Enzo Maresca to see his players out on the pitch. And while this is game number 5 for the Foxes in pre-season, with the majority of those being behind closed doors, it's actually just the second time the Blue Army will have had to see how their side get on. That is following a 1-0 win at Northampton 2 weeks ago. The tackle attempted right on the byline, and Timothy Castagne's back, chips it in, and Kieran Dewsbury Hall with the header and scores Leicester City's first of the afternoon. It was a chip ball in for Timothy Castagne. Dewsbury Hall rose well and nods it past Lee Burge in the Northampton goal. So after missing out on the chance to face Premier League Tottenham last weekend, and with the new season fast approaching, today feels like a key opportunity for Enzo Maresca to see how his side are progressing and how prepared they are for the new season. Coming up against Liverpool provides a perfect opportunity to test his players, taking a step up in quality from the game against Port FC on Wednesday. Maresca said after that game that he was happy with the progress being made.
I think a good performance. We continue to improve. The team answered quite well, to be honest. Since the first day we are working with some ideas. Day by day we are getting better, even today, with the ball and without the ball. So yeah, quite happy.
Well, with it being the final game of pre-season, today's team could give a good indicator of who Maresca may start against Coventry and moving forward. So who has he gone for today? Your matchday commentator, Owen Palmer-Atkin, has the details.
Well, there's a couple of big players not in this squad. Jamie Vardy being one of them, not in the squad entirely after Enzo Maresca told us that he was fine after that game against Port FC. There's no Wout Faes or Dennis Pratt either, as Leicester City shuffle their pack. Winks, Ndidi and Dewsbury Hall leading the line in midfield, with Albright and Daka and McAteer leading the forward front three. Vestergaard starts again at centre-half. I'll have both sides for you in just a few moments' time.
Owen, thank you very much. As he says, both teams in full in just a sec, but as ever, we would love to hear from you before the game. How are you feeling about the match, the team selection and pre-season preparations as a whole for your Foxes side? At BBCRL Sport is where you'll find us on Twitter. You can send us a WhatsApp. Start your message with the word Leicester. They're coming in on 08000 321 333. It's Leicester City against Liverpool in their final pre-season friendly of the summer. I'm Jack Rafferty on your home of live local sport. This is BBC Radio Leicester.
Every kick,
Every goal.
every game, live.
BBC Radio Leicester Sport.
So a very good morning and welcome to us here. We are actually at the King Power Stadium right now, bringing you commentary. We're here with the feed in front of us of the stadium in Singapore, where Leicester City are about to take on Liverpool in their final pre-season friendly. You won't miss any action here on BBC Radio Leicester Sport. It's slightly surreal though being here at this time in the morning. It's very peaceful, very calm at King Power Stadium right now. It appears to be quite a peaceful and calm stadium out in Singapore as well, with fans starting to make their way in. Before we go any further, before we look ahead to this one, and before we hear from the manager as well, before kick-off at 10 o'clock UK time, let's get both teams in full with your matchday commentator, Owen Palmer-Atkin.
Thank you very much, Jack. Good afternoon, or good morning, I should say. It's a weird one, isn't it, getting used to all these different times, as Enzo Maresca shuffles his pack somewhat from the game that we saw against Tottenham that didn't go ahead, and of course from the friendly against Port FC in Thailand on Wednesday, as he looks to really get the minutes in the legs of all of his squad ahead of the opening day of the season, a week today against Coventry here at King Power Stadium. Today he's gone with Maz Hermansson in goal, a back four of Ricardo, the captain, at right back, two central defenders in Yannick Vestergaard and Callum Doyle, with Timothy Castagne at left back. There is a midfield three of Harry Winks, Wilfred Ndidi and Kieran Dewsbury Hall. Part of the Enzo revolution, I guess, is that Wilfred Ndidi now playing as a number 8 rather than a number 6 in a more attacking role. He did get on the score sheet against Port FC on Wednesday. The forward three, Mark Albrighton off the right hand side, Casey McAteer, the young academy product, off the left, with Patson Daka leading the line for Leicester today. As for the bench for the Foxes, It is essentially the rest of the squad that have travelled out to Singapore, minus a few key names. So the squad on the bench: Danny Ward, Daniel Everson and Jakub Stolisic, the three goalkeepers. They're joined by James Justin, Harry Suter, Ben Nelson, Luke Thomas, Buba Sumare, Hamza Chowdhury, Wanya Marcel Madavadua and Kalechi Iheanacho. The three players that are missing from this team: Jamie Vardy is not in the squad today, neither is Wout Faes and neither is Dennis Pratt, and clearly Conor Cody will not be travelling with the squad out on this tour and was set to receive a scan. We've still not had the results of what that scan has been told about a foot injury that he picked up against OH Leuven. As for the Liverpool 11, Carvin Kelleher is the goalkeeper. It's a back four of Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate at central defence, with Andy Robertson at left back. In midfield, Curtis Jones, Bobby Clark and new signing Alexis McAllister, with Mo Salah off the right, Diogo Jota off the left and Darwin Núñez leading the line for Liverpool today in what is a very, very strong side selected by Jurgen Klopp. This will be Leicester's biggest test of their pre-season so far. It's Leicester City versus Liverpool from Singapore in the National Stadium.
Owen, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your company this morning. As Owen said, it feels slightly strange saying good morning when we're about to talk about football, but as I always say, sport in the morning is a treat, so we're going to make the most of it. Leicester City's final pre-season preparations against a very strong Liverpool side, as Owen mentioned. Joining us to run through it and joining Owen for commentary when this one kicks off at 10 o'clock, former Foxes winger Matt Piper. Pipes, how you doing?
Good morning Jack, good morning everyone.
Clearly it's going to be a tough test for Leicester, and clearly there has been so many conversations about the tour that they've gone on and sort of how useful it may or may not be leading up to the Championship season. First of all, let's talk about that side of things. How have you felt the tour has gone so far for Leicester City and what you've seen?
Well, you're a little bit surprised at the start, especially when we get relegated from the Premier League. You think, things that were in place pre-relegation would probably get changed, because obviously, the facts and, things change if you get relegated. The season starts earlier, there's more preparation to be done. So I was surprised when this tour wasn't sort of binned off really and moved. But we find ourselves where we are. Last week was an absolute shambles, clearly, because the heavens opened and we couldn't get the game played. Not ideal preparation at all. But I think on the plus side, because I want to keep it positive going into this season, we've got a new manager, there is exciting things going on at the football club, there's some new faces that have really impressed. I think when they come in and they start, it's important. Sorry, I've just lost the feed there from the National Stadium. I'm sure everyone's thinking at home, where's that gone? But we've still got pictures, so that's good. Now we've got to this point, this juncture, I think we look at the positives, and the positives from a trip like this would be, Owen's been out there, he would have seen it firsthand for himself, the togetherness you get as a squad. And yes, clearly that can be done anywhere in the world, but when you're on a trip into a different country, you do become closer. You're all in the hotel together, you're eating together, they're your only mates there basically, and that's who you're hanging out with. So in that respect, I think it will be a really good, important trip. I think as far as the football goes, I am a little worried. Playing Port FC, I'm glad they put a game in when the Spurs one got called off, but it isn't the type of standard that you want to be playing against going into a Championship season, to be honest. This will be a huge test today for these players, and the new Maresca way of playing. This is a real new identity that this squad has, and the fact that they're going to try and play out, hopefully they'll do that today against Liverpool. The press from Liverpool today will be intense, it will be cohesive, and it will be really difficult to play through. So I'm really looking forward to this game, because it will give us a barometer of where where the squad are and the individuals are under Maresca.
You mentioned then about the quality of Liverpool and the fact that the game against Port FC was put on Wednesday, and as you say, that is positive because the players were able to get minutes in their legs. But clearly there was a plan to face two strong sides, two Premier League sides ahead of the new season, to really test the players and to really see how this system is going to work against strong opposition. For you, is there a slight concern that, and this isn't to disrespect Northampton, it isn't to disrespect Port FC, but clearly there is a gulf in quality between sides like that and Liverpool. Does it concern you ever so slightly that there is going to be, this isn't a gradual increase of quality of opposition, this is a huge increase?
Exactly, and I think that's what concerns you when you're sitting there at Northampton like we were two or so weeks ago.
I can hear you loud and clear.
You're sitting there and you're thinking, this is great playing this kind of football, but the press from Northampton to try and stop the way Leicester were playing wasn't high level, was it? And I was, you're sitting there and you're thinking, this is really impressive, but when you come up against top sides, are you going to struggle? And I think, we'll find that out today, and that's why it's really interesting for me today to sit here and watch this game, because they will play the Maresca way, they will do it against a high quality opposition, and if they can still produce against that type of opposition, then I'll be more confident going into the start of the season against Coventry.
Well, we are building up to what is Leicester City's final pre-season friendly of the summer ahead of their Championship campaign starting next week. So what are the priorities for Enzo Maresca and his squad in this one? Ahead of the game, I caught up with the Leicester Mercury's Jordan Blackwell.
I would say to see how well the tactics work against a better level of opposition. I think it's been sort of impressively evident how Maresca wants to play. He's not even had 4 full weeks yet coaching the squad, and yet it's very clear what style of play they're going to play. It's very clear the formation, the intricacies of that, the way Ricardo from right back has moved into that midfield role, how he works with Winks, how the forward players then get around the striker. So I suppose it will just be testing that against a better level of opposition. I think that will test the defensive structure a little bit more, because I do think with the way that Leicester play on the ball, there are risks of them being susceptible to counters. And we know how quick Liverpool can attack. That's not changed at all under Klopp. They are very, very good on the transition. So I think I'll be interested to see how Leicester cope with that. I think I will be keen to see the lineup that Maresca puts out, because I think with this being the final pre-season game, I would expect it is the lineup that he intends to start against Coventry. So I think that will be key as well, to see. It's probably a couple of areas, a couple of positions where we're not quite sure who's going to get the nod and who's going to be ahead in the pecking order. So I think that will be key to see this weekend.
Which are those areas for you?
I think, as things stand, I would say on the right wing, because Leicester are a little short of options on the wing. We're hoping that they're going to bring in Steffi Mavididi, but I think he would more likely play on the left. So far, there's not really any speculation around somebody that come in on the right. So you've got Mark Albrighton, who's perhaps the most natural player there, but he's not played as much in pre-season. Patson Daka has been kind of used out there. Timothy Castagna we've seen played further forward, but there are doubts over his future and whether he's still going to be here at the end of the transfer window. Marcel Madavadua we've seen play on the left, but could he play on the right if Mavididi comes in? So I think that's one key position. I think if Doyle has to move inside to play at centre-back instead of Cody, then I think who plays at left-back will be key, because you could put Castagna in there as well, but obviously there's Christensen and Thomas. Maybe who plays in midfield, where Pratt is at the minute. I think Winks and Dewsbury Hall are pretty safe bets for starting, as much as possible this season. But that other position at the minute is a debatable one. And maybe the striker as well. I think it will be probably Vardy, but, there are arguments to say that it could be Iheanacho or Daka. Obviously, we've saw in the behind closed doors game in Thailand that Iheanacho did start because Vardy's dealing with a small injury. Iheanacho was also due to start against Spurs, so that would be interesting. So yeah, there are a few positions that I think that are still up for grabs.
So, Jordan, if Mavididi is to come through the door as we expect, for you, what are the other areas that should be the priority for Maresca ahead of that first game against Coventry?
I would say I do think a right winger, another wide man is important. I think somebody who, can provide that skill and that kind of the intricate footwork that you need to beat kind of deeper defences. I think it's very much the case that Leicester are going to play teams that sit deep this season. I think Maresca's pointed that out in his first press conference, that teams are going to look at Leicester as, we really want to get something against them. So they might sit deep and try and hold out for a draw. And in that case, you need somebody tricky on the wing who can beat players in one-on-one, like Mavididi will do on the left. So I think that's key. And an attacking midfielder as well. I don't feel like with the players that Leicester have in the squad or that they've brought in, that there's yet been a real replacement for Maddison. So I think somebody who can provide goals and an attacking threat from the central midfield areas, while also contributing to the kind of the general system. So I don't think they would need to be an out-and-out number 10, because I don't think Maresca really needs a number 10. Winks is certainly a build-up player. Dewsbury Hall is somewhere in between. He's box to box. He will, we saw him get into the box for the Northampton game and get the goal. We've seen, we saw Ndidi score from the kind of an advanced midfield position as well in the game in Thailand. But yeah, someone in that position to play with Winks and Dewsbury Hall, I would say, is key as well. I know that there's been links to Chelsea's Cesare Casadei, who seems to fit the bill for me. So I think that those are the two key positions. And then it's a case of probably, if anybody does leave, I think there are still a few positions where if players leave, Leicester would need to get in replacements. So yeah, there's still plenty of business to be done over the course of the next month or so.
Leicester Mercury, sure he wishes he was Leicester City's. Jordan Blackwell there speaking to me ahead of this game today. Leicester City against Liverpool, their final pre-season game. It was interesting, Pipes. Jordan there was saying that naturally or normally in pre-season, looking at the starting lineup, you would expect the manager to pretty much pick the team that he is hoping to play on the first day of the season. When you look at the lineup in front of you for Leicester City right now, does it scream of a team that's going to start in the Championship next week?
I don't think it does. Obviously, his hand's been forced a little bit by some of the injuries. Cody's obviously a definite starter. I don't know if he'd be captain or not, but sort of captain material, came in, started really well. It's just really unfortunate that he's got, this nasty injury. Vardy being out, Dennis Pratt looks like he was going to stay at the club, and Maresca was putting him in and had him in his plans as to play one of them high 8 positions. He's not in. Walt Fast, we don't know what's happening with him, so Vestergaard's in. But if you look at this team, I don't think he would have thought that he was going to be starting a Mark Albrighton on a consistent basis throughout a Championship season because of his age. Young Casey McAteer on the left hand side, and Ndidi and KDH, I can see that as high 8s. It looks like that's what the manager's been looking at. Sort of converted Ndidi from a defensive sort of 6 deep line midfielder into this high 8 who's scoring goals. So it looks like he's going to be in his starting plans.
But what do you think it is that Maresca has seen in Ndidi to do that and to think that could be his role this season?
Well, it leads me to believe that he's not watched him the last 5 years. Because if he's seen him in and around the penalty area, and Ndidi, goal kick, and now he's scoring goals. What I think is sometimes it's good, when you've got a player like Wilfred Ndidi who absolutely dominates a position, one of the best in the Premier League, we were saying at one point, and then all of a sudden his form has just dropped off a cliff. Maresca might be thinking, let me just change it up. Let me just, take those responsibilities off him, put him in a different position and see how he gets on. And now he's arriving into the box. It was a really nice finish that I seen against Port FC the other day. He's getting into some nice areas. He played there. He came on there against Northampton. Thought he did really well. So just changing it up and trying to freshen it up. And, you never know what you're going to find and what the skill set is of some of these players when you put them in different positions and different situations on a football pitch.
And because I know there will be people screaming at the radio saying it was only Port FC, but actually because of what you described there, and because it's a change of role, and because, you know, as he pointed out, indeed his finishing or goal scoring certainly hasn't been at the top of his, you know, great attributes as a footballer, to get that goal, do you think that would have, you know, made a difference, you know, giving him a bit of a boost, and maybe, you know, if he was sort of questioning the manager having this change, make him to start believe that actually this could be my role this season?
Well, what I've seen, and you have to take into regard the opposition that they're playing against, and it was Port FC, and he did come on against Northampton, but his timing and the positions that he was getting in and around the penalty area when the play was building or it was wide, was really intelligent positioning. I thought he got into some really nice spaces against Northampton. He's not the greatest in tight situations, Wilfred Ndidi. He's not a Ricardo. He hasn't got that type of skill set, but he is capable enough. And the positions he's getting in, as I say, that goal that he scored against Port FC, yes, it is only Port FC, but any goal you score, even if it's down Abbey Park, it can give you that confidence to keep getting in those positions. And it was a nice finish. It was, you know, it was coming across his body. He finished it first time, but, you know, his timing to get onto that cross was really good.
Well, will we see something similar from Wilfred Ndidi today? He does start for Leicester City in their final pre-season game against Liverpool from Singapore. We're bringing you full commentary here on BBC Radio Leicester Sport. And of course, it's the final opportunity for the Foxes to get some proper minutes into the legs ahead of the new season. It looked for a brief period that it might be the only opportunity on their tour of Asia after the game against Spurs last weekend got postponed because of the weather. But thankfully, as we've just been discussing, club able to arrange that friendly against Port FC, a 1-0 win thanks to that Wilfred Ndidi goal. And after the game, Owen spoke to the manager, Enzo Maresca.
Enzo, a 1-0 win over Port FC. How do you look over what you've just seen in the performance from your players?
No, good. I think good performance. We continue to improve. The team answered quite well, to be honest. Since the first day we are working with some ideas, and day by day we are getting better. Even today, first half and second half, they try all the solution that we are trying from the day one, with the ball and without the ball. So yeah, quite happy.
A lot of players we've spoken to have talked about trying to get their head round and understand the tactics you're trying to implement. How difficult is it for players to do that, I guess?
Yeah, it's difficult, when you start with any manager, they are different idea. So when you join a club, you want to see your team playing in the way you like. So that you need to teach them the idea. And yeah, probably at the beginning it's difficult because you receive many information. But in our case, you see that. Even today, and you can see the idea that it's already quite clear.
How important was it to get minutes in the legs of these players today after the game was cancelled against Spurs on Sunday?
Yeah, unfortunately we didn't play. Unfortunately for us, unfortunately for the club, for the people here, to be honest. And the reason why we organized a friendly game today was for that. And I think almost of them, they get minus. And we have one more friendly game next weekend, and then we start official game.
One player who isn't here yet, I know you said you were waiting to see whether you could get him out here, was Connor Cody. How is he?
Yeah, unfortunately it's not good. We need to wait. He's one of the new player, and he's one of the player that since day one he was involved in the process. But as we said, now unfortunately he's not here with us, and we see for how long he will be out.
Just a couple more if you don't mind. One year Marcel Madividua was in the squad today. He's played a number of times in this pre-season. How big a role do you think he might have this season as a young player coming through the academy?
We are completely open with good young players. One is one of them. Mac is doing well. Ben Nelson is doing well. I think the three young players that they are with us here, they are doing a good job. Now it's we see the important thing I think for them is to be in our environment, and to have the chance to train with us every day.
Leicester City manager Enzo Maresca there speaking to Owen after they beat Port FC in a friendly 1-0 on Wednesday. A couple of interesting points to pick out, Pipes, from what Maresca was saying there. The injury to Conor Cody, clearly he was brought in, and clearly from the first couple of friendlies it looked like he was a big part of Maresca's plans, not just for the way Leicester are going to play, but for his leadership on the pitch. How concerned are you if that is going to be a longer term injury than maybe first thought?
Yeah, well, he's going to be a big miss. I think, especially what we lacked last season was that sort of leadership on the pitch, off the pitch, and I think he brings that in abundance. And obviously his skill set, he's the type of defender where the play starts with him, really, between him and the goalkeeper, and then that's how they progress it out, because he's really good on the ball. He can step out, he can spray them passes. And he really impressed me when he first came in. But I've been a fan of Conor Cody for a while. And I was actually, if I'm honest, surprised when we signed him. I thought he's Premiership quality. He will move to a Premier League team. So to come to Leicester was a real coup for us, I think. So it's, to be honest, it's devastating news, clearly for him as well. We're hearing he hasn't been injured in his whole career. He gets to Leicester, and it just seems ridiculous, doesn't it? But yeah, he's going to be a huge miss.
How disrupt, not just Cody specifically, but how disruptive is it to lose a new player when clearly it's all part of new plans and a new manager's way of playing as well?
Yeah, well, the big problem is, I think, is how important he was to those plans. And the only other player that's similar to him, really, on the ball, is Vestergaard. And that's why I think you see him starting this afternoon against Liverpool, and that's why I think you'll see him start against Coventry. And clearly, if he gets in a foot race in a transition going towards our own goal, it's going to be heart in mouth moment, not just this afternoon, obviously against Coventry when it really matters. But on the ball, I will always say it, and there's a lot of people that don't like me saying it, but on the ball he's actually a good footballer. He picked some nice passes. I think it was his first pass that started the goal against Port FC, because he breaks lines with his passing, and that's what Conor Cody does. So, Cody's going to be a huge miss, I think. But
again, we were talking before about how Ndidi's role could change under a new manager. Sometimes a new manager coming in can offer a player who's been out of the woods a little bit an opportunity to reprove himself. Could we potentially see this with Vestergaard?
Yeah, I think so. It's a clean slate. He said that when he first came in, that all the players are going to get a clean slate. Those that want to stay, you'll give them an opportunity. And unfortunately, Vestergaard's opportunities come from, the misfortunes of Conor Cody getting injured. Because would he have been involved as much throughout this pre-season? Definitely not. Would he have been a starting centre-back if Cody and Walt Farce are fit? I don't think he would have been. So he's got an opportunity now, and it seems Maresca will give him that chance. And just to go back to your last point on Ndidi, I thought about it a little more. When you play that double pivot that Maresca wants to play, and Ndidi not being good in tight areas and not being able to advance the ball as well as a Ricardo or a Winks, Maresca's probably looked at it and thought, he's not going to play there for me. I don't need that holding six that's not very good on the football and can't progress it well. So I've got to find him a different position. He started playing him in this 8. He's getting into some nice areas, scoring goals. So that could be another reason for it.
Elsewhere in the world, we are building, by the way, to Leicester City against Liverpool. Leicester City's final pre-season friendly. Kick-off is at 10 o'clock UK time, coming from the Singapore National Stadium.
Every kick,
Every goal,
every game, live.
BBC Radio Leicester Sport.
Good morning and welcome to us back here on BBC Radio Leicester, where we're bringing you dedicated coverage of Leicester City's final pre-season game of the summer. They come up against Liverpool in Singapore, testing their new tactics against Premier League opposition before they kickstart their Championship campaign next weekend. With their scheduled game against Spurs postponed because of the rain last weekend, today's just the second opportunity that the fans have had to see their side in action before the new season, the other being a 1-0 win at Northampton 2 weeks ago. The tackle attempt is right on the byline. It's Timothy Castagne's back, chips it in, Kieran Dewsbury Hall with the header and scores Leicester City's first of the afternoon. It's a chip ball in for Timothy Castagne. Dewsbury Hall rose well and nods it past Lee Burge in the Northampton goal. There is now just a week to go until the start of the new Championship season, with today the final chance for match minutes. Enzo Maresca has been working to put his own stamp on this Foxes side, both in terms of signings and philosophy on the pitch. Harry Winks joined from Tottenham earlier this month and says it was that style of play was a big part of the attraction.
Yeah, mainly his style of play and his philosophy and his ethos is everything with the ball. Everything's to play football, to enjoy, to that kind of City mould of how they play football, and to play for a manager like that is something I've always wanted to do. And yeah, as a football player in particular, you always want to have the ball and always want to play football and learn and improve. And I felt like at this stage of my career it was a great point to come and learn, improve as a player, and hopefully get back to the level where Leicester deserve to be in, but also where I believe I can get to as well.
Kick-off for this one around about 25 minutes away, so let's get a reminder of both sides in full with your matchday commentator Owen Palmer-Atkin.
Thank you very much, Jack. Enzo Maresca shuffling his pack, but there's 4 key players not in the squad today that did travel out for the tour of Thailand and Singapore. As for the starting 11, Maz Hermansen is the goalkeeper. It's a back 4 of Ricardo at right back, Yannick Vestergaard and Callum Doyle in central defence, with Timothy Castagne at left back. Harry Winks will sit at the base at the midfield, with Wilfred Ndidi and Kieran Dewsbury Hall just in front, with Mark Albrighton off the right, Casey McAteer off the left, and Patson Daka leading the line for the Foxes today. The bench for Enzo Maresca: Danny Ward, Daniel Everson and Jakub Stolicic are the 3 goalkeepers, joined by James Justin, Harry Suter, Ben Nelson, Luke Thomas, Buba Sumare, Hamza Chowdhury, Wanya Marcel Madavadua and Kalechi Iheanacho. The players not involved: Jamie Vardy, Dennis Pratt, Victor Christiansen, Wout Faes and the injured Connor Cody. There's been no update on the £7.5 million signing from Wolves, and we're still waiting to hear as to whether he may be fit for the start of the season this time next week. As for Liverpool and their manager Jurgen Klopp, Kevin Kelleher is the goalkeeper, a back 4 of Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate at central defence, with Andy Robertson at left back. The 3 in midfield: Curtis Jones, Bobby Clark and new signing Alexis McAllister, with Mo Salah off the right, Diogo Jota off the left and Darwin Núñez leading the line for Jurgen Klopp's side. In the Singapore Trophy, Jack, it's Leicester City versus Liverpool.
Is that real? It's a Singapore Trophy?
This is the Singapore Trophy. I'm told, Jack, as these pre-season tours go, obviously if Leicester win, they win the Singapore Trophy. If Liverpool win, then they win the Singapore Trophy. If it's a draw, no one wins it. The game just ends.
And football will be the real winner. Owen, thank you very much.
I'm going to go now after that.
He will be back for full commentary of this one. We joke about the importance of the trophy, but clearly very important for Leicester City in terms of their preparations for the start of the Championship season up against a very strong Liverpool side. Leicester City fans hoping to see a couple of the new signings to see how they bed in to Enzo Maresca's plans. And of course, he's brought in so far 4 new faces for the Foxes this season, but you would think more would be on the way before the end of the transfer window, particularly if other players leave. Now, one that's been widely rumoured to be in next is Staffy Mavididi from Montpellier. The Arsenal Academy product can play wide left or through the middle and has impressed in Ligue 1 over the past few years. Sarah Mine is a French football journalist, told me what kind of player Leicester fans can expect.
So Mavididi has got a lot of qualities. He's fast. I would say his pace, his speed is one of the important quality that he's got. The fact also that he often makes the right move to finish off an action. He's always well placed on the pitch, I would say. He's a good finisher as well. It's used not to be so much when he arrived in France. The finishing was a bit difficult, but I think he made some good progress on that. And his polyvalence, really, because he can play, can play at the centre of the attack. He can also play on one side, on the left wing. So he's got different qualities. I think it's a good pick for Leicester, really.
It's interesting you say that point about he can sort of play in the centre and on the left. I think you look at Leicester City's squad right now and you think through the middle with players like Vardy, Daka, Iheanacho, it's an area that they're doing really well, and it's that left wing area that they've needed cover for Harvey Barnes for a while. Barnes has now left. So do you feel like he can come in and be that main man on the left wing cutting in?
Yes, definitely. I think he can be that man. He had this role, to be fair, in Montpellier with two players called Andy Delors and Gaëtan Laborde. That was 2 seasons ago. And he was playing on the left side, on the left wing. And honestly, he's been really good in that role. So he's got this polyvalence. And I think, as you said, because you need someone to cover on that side since Barnes left the club, I think he can really arrive to play that role.
You said before about maybe when he first came in, his finishing wasn't quite up to scratch. Just tell us a little bit more about that development and how he has progressed as a player in his time at Montpellier.
Well, he arrived in Ligue 1 with kind of the label of young talent, which is not always easy to live up to. I think Mavididi carried a lot of hopes, and a lot of pundits and a lot of my colleagues predicted a bright future for him. His first season in Montpellier was a success. He scored 9 goals in 28 league games. In total, he scored 21 goals and 5 assists for Montpellier in total in 3 years. Let's just say that he made some progress definitely on different spots. He's finishing in front of the goal. He's more efficient now, definitely. But let's just say that in France, unfortunately, his injuries have slowed down a little bit his progression, a little bit his career. So last season, it has been a bit difficult for him. And now, obviously, this move to Leicester, this move to England is a very important step in his career. He's got those qualities. I remember Thierry Henry, who was a pundit for Prime Video in France at the time, commentating on the Ligue 1, and he always praised Mavididi's qualities, saying how generous he was, how he always ended up in the right place in front of the goal, and what a great finish he had. Obviously, it means a lot to get Thierry Henry's compliment. That means a lot. I would say that he might be still a little bit inconsistent in a sense that Mavididi is capable of doing very well for one game, being very, very good, and then disappearing a little bit in the next game. Though on that point as well, he made some progress. But I would say that he progressed. He's still young. He still has got his career to build, really. I think France will have helped him to really progress on different points, and that he's arriving in England maybe more mature and more ready to play English football. Obviously, now more than 5 years ago when he was still at Arsenal, before leaving England, I think he's more ready now.
French football journalist Sarah Mine there, speaking to me on the latest episode of the When You're Smiling podcast on the potential incoming of Stephy Mavididi from Montpellier. Pipes, we heard there from Sarah. He can play through the middle, but also very adept playing wide left, cutting in. Is he the kind of player that you want to see Leicester sign, that you think they need to sign at the minute?
Well, he's a winger, isn't it? So that's a massive tick in my box. I think we still need some more. I think this one's done, to be honest. But certain people that we really trust and have huge credibility in the industry have said that it's done. It's just waiting to get announced. So I think we can start getting excited about having him. Ex-Arsenal, lit it up in Ligue 1 last year, which is a difficult league actually. People think that there's just 2 or 3 teams in it. It's got a real good consistency throughout the league, and it's a good barometer to test the level of a player, especially coming into English football, and he's clearly already been in English football with Arsenal, so I'm excited about seeing him.
He seems, you mentioned about he came through Arsenal. He's actually a Derby lad, so just down the road. But it seems to be that more players these days, young English players, and particularly some of those that maybe have got a bit of the spotlight on them as potential, huge prospects, actually choosing to take their football abroad for a certain time so that they can develop. So I'm thinking players like Jadon Sancho, Jude Bellingham in particular, it's worked really well for. Do you think it could have helped him actually to not have that pressure of being an Arsenal youngster, you know, a player coming through a club like that, and actually being able to get away as a young English player and maybe have the focus taken a little bit off him so he can just focus on his football and development?
Yeah, I do, and I think it's a really good option for youngsters that do come through the academy system here. They sort of look at the first team. I mean, I didn't do it, but I would have done it, because, you know, when you sort of 16, 17, you're playing really well in the teams that you're in the club. Naturally, you're going to start thinking about, can I get in the first team? So you start looking at the players in the position and you think, I'm not going to get a chance for years. Unless, you know, something happens like injuries and, you know, poor form is what happened to allow me to get in. But I think it's a really good option, and, you know, more players should be looking abroad in these leagues, because, as I said, the quality is high, and if you can go and do it over there and prove yourself where you're going to get more of an opportunity, then you can always come back, like a lot of these players are doing now.
Clearly it'll be discussed more in the next week leading up to the Coventry game, but if we are assuming that Mavididi is the fifth signing, and that's a goalkeeper, two defenders, midfielder and a winger, for you, looking at the starting lineup today, where are the other areas that you think City need to improve?
Well, the other wing, I think. Listen, Albrighton, he's been a magnificent servant for the club, and he'll still be able to contribute and offer his skill set this season to be able to help us hopefully have a successful season. But because of his age, he's not going to play week in, week out. As we keep saying, it's such a grueling league, and I think a young, exciting winger off that right-hand side would be good to try and recruit. Listen, we've got some, you know, McAteer will play off the left today. He's really exciting young prospect, I think, but you're not going to be able to rely on these youngsters to come in and play the amount of games and time in the first team that you need. So I think we do need to strengthen in those areas. I still think there's going to be movement out of the football club, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot of changes to Maresca's side. He's sort of, you know, picking and choosing. Imagine how difficult it is, and this is why we all knew it was going to be such a difficult job for whoever got it. You come in and you don't really know who wants to go, who wants to stay, you know, who's going to get an offer for them, because I'm sure Castagna, for instance, he's an interesting one for me, because I think Castagna wants to play top level. I think he believes he can play top level, and he's hoping for a move. But if no one comes in for him, all of a sudden Maresca thinking, right, if no one's coming in for him, I'm going to play him, of course, because he's a good player, or do I leave him out in the hope that someone does come in, so then we can recruit and use the money that he's brought in from not just Castagna but some of these other players that may wish to ply their trade at a higher level.
It's interesting you mentioned there about the players that have been used in pre-season. One that has been used a lot is Wanya Marcel Madavidua. Again, on that left-hand side, he's been wearing the number 7 shirt that Harvey Barnes has departed. And you look and you saw the more minutes he was getting, and we started to discuss more, okay, maybe he could get an opportunity, maybe he is going to be a player that Maresca's going to give an opportunity. So it does seem interesting that he's not starting today.
Yeah, I think, was Madavidua in the side against Tottenham, the game that got called off?
Pipes, I can tell you he was set to start in that game, and then he did start against Port FC as well.
So maybe Maresca's just giving him a rest, because I think I've actually been impressed with him so far in this pre-season. We've seen him against Northampton, thought he looked tricky, direct, fast, and what you hope from this club is I think there's still too many players that maybe wish to move on that are in and around this squad. Now, clearly, if someone's not coming in for him, he's got to utilise them where he can. But what we said at the end of last season is strip those players out that want to leave, and clearly use the funds to bring in some new players. I think we've started to do that, but give some of the youth players a real opportunity, because there's so many talented young kids at Leicester. And, you know, one bonus for them is, us dropping out of the Premier League, surely they're going to get more of an opportunity. The likes of Madavidua, McAteer, you do want to see them in and around the squad. Young Will Alves, we've seen him at early last season, I think. he looked really excited. I know he got a real, bad injury, as did
Act 2 of Singapore's
the centre midfielder. His name eludes me at the minute.
Sammy Braybrook.
Yeah, Braybrook, really impressive. We're hearing like he's Leicester's Iniesta, which is really exciting. And I have seen him play, and he's a really good, talented footballer. Unfortunately, got a real horrendous injury again. So these boys hopefully will be nearing full fitness again, and we want to see them get an opportunity under this manager.
Well, while this is the final opportunity for pre-season minutes in the squad for one of Leicester's academy products, it's barely just begun. Luke Thomas, Sargent boy, played his first game of the summer in a 1-0 win against Port FC on Wednesday. That's because he came back late, having been part of the England under-21 squad that won the European Championships in Georgia. And Owen caught up with Luke Thomas and asked him what that experience was like.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable experience out in Georgia. It was a really good setup as well itself, and to come away with a medal is one of the best things that's ever happened. So it was a great tournament, and we had a great side. So it was on the final, to beat Spain's even better.
I was watching the final, and there was a brilliant camera shot pitch side of when the full-time whistle went, and you were the first one, I think, to basically throw your arms in the air, run onto the pitch. It felt like a big moment for you as well, coming through the academy, winning the FA Cup, having one of those medals, and then an international medal as well. Your career so far, I mean, it's been quite incredible, really.
Yeah, I suppose I've probably been quite lucky in that aspect to have 2 gold medals under my name at the moment. But that's what I want in my career. I want to win as many things as I possibly can. So it was a great experience, but hopefully we can get many more, and hopefully we can get promoted and win the league this year. Well, let's hope you can add that one to your collection as well. Enzo Maresca, you've had the chance to come in now a little bit later, I guess, than some of the other players after your time in Georgia. But what have you made to him as your new manager, and the kind of tactics maybe that he's going to be asking of you this season? Yeah, he just came in, and when I first came in, everything was all set up, and all the lads were learning a lot of different things, like playing out from the back. The system that we're playing is a lot different to what I suppose we're used to, but it's been really good. And the week that I've been here, I've learnt quite a lot through what he wants, and what he wants from each position, with Ricky playing in the middle and then wingers high and wide. So I don't know too much at the moment, but I'm going to learn over the next 10 days and I'll be ready. Every player we've spoken to has all said that there's a lot to take in, a lot to learn, but it's being delivered in a way where hopefully you can get it ready for the start of the season as well. Just give us a bit of an insight, I guess, into quite how extensively deep the knowledge that Enzo Maresca, I guess, is trying to be putting onto this team. Yeah, you can obviously, with him being Pep's assistant before, you can see the similarities that they have in the way they want to play. I think like I said, with the wingers high and wide, and it gives a space for the 10s on the sides as well. So it is very demanding, and there's a lot of things to learn that he wants. But the lads have done really well so far, and we'll continue doing that over the next 10 days. Final one, Luke, but we're not too far away from the start of the season now. As a local lad, you'll know the importance of the first game of the season, the M69 derby against Coventry. When you saw that one come out and you saw that it was going to be Cov on the opening day, was there a little bit inside you that thought, what a way to start the season at home in a local derby, I guess? Yeah, obviously with the negatives we had at the end of last season, for that fixture then to be the first game, I think that brings the spirits back into the lads, and we know it's a big game and we'll be ready for it, and the fans will hopefully get what they want.
Leicester City left back Luke Thomas there, Sargent boy, speaking after the 1-0 win against Port FC, which was his first opportunity to get minutes in this pre-season under Enzo Maresca after he returned from England's Euros under-21 Championships victory. Pipes, because of that, did you think we might see Luke Thomas in the starting lineup today, just because of his lack of minutes having been away with England? I did. Maresca and his backroom staff are probably trying to manage his transition sort of back in. I remember being away with the 21s, and when I got back, the manager at the time at Sunderland was like, you put weight on, because I didn't play too much out there. I don't think Luke Thomas did,
because you eat 3 square meals a day, you're in your room, you don't train too much because they don't want any injuries happening. So he'll be going through, he's probably not fit enough to start in a game like this, high intensity against Liverpool. So they've just got to manage his transition back into the squad, I think.
Despite not playing that many minutes, as you mentioned, but being out there, being part of that squad and getting that medal around his neck, in his conversation with Owen, he spoke about how, so early in his career, he's already got an FA Cup Community Shield medal as well, and now this. How big of a boost do you think that can be for a young player, coming through and, trying to put his stamp on the game?
Yeah, huge. And, the good thing for Luke Thomas is, when I watch him, I think he's a real confidence player. So anything like that, winning trophies, winning football matches, even, down to the small things in him, like making a big tackle or an important challenge, I think you see it raising his game, and he's just got to keep, pushing on, trying to get a starting shirt in this Maresca side, because he's more than capable to do that. And he really was harmed, I think. 2 years ago, I was saying Luke Thomas needs to go out on loan, because he needs to play. At that age, you need to play consistent football. And there's no better teacher for a young lad sort of getting in the first team or in and around the first team than playing competitive football matches. It was great that he was in and around Brendan's squad, but he was never going to be Brendan's starting left back, other than injury or, if one of the other players wasn't able to be involved. And that is not enough football to do your learning on the pitch where you need to do it.
Well, will we see him get on today to try and impress himself onto Enzo Maresca? It's time for the Foxes to get out onto the pitch for one last time this pre-season. There's just a week to go until the Championship season. This match against Liverpool will really test Enzo Maresca's men. We're just a few minutes away from kick-off.
Every kick, every goal, every game, live.
We continue to improve. The team answered quite well, to be honest. Since the first day we are working with some ideas, and day by day we are getting better, even today, with the ball and without the ball. So yeah, quite happy.
To play for a manager like that is something I've always wanted to do, and yeah, as a football player in particular, you always want to have the ball and always want to play football and learn and improve improve as a player, and hopefully get back to the level where Leicester deserve to be in, but also where I believe I can get to as well.
Yeah, obviously with the negatives we had at the end of last season, for that fixture then to be the first game, I think that brings the spirits back into the lads, and we know it's a big game and we'll be ready for it, and the fans will hopefully get what they want.
Here with Ricardo, left-footed strike, Daka into the back of the net! What a strike by Paston Daka! Oh, brilliant play by Leicester. Dewsbury Hall pressing forward. He's going to get into the box here. Keenan Dewsbury Hall, left-footed goal! Left-hand side delivers into the area. Get it! And goal! Oh, what joy! Oh, what relief! Inside King Power Stadium!
I consider Leicester an important club, Premier League club. The reality in this moment says that we are Championship club and we have to adapt as soon as we can, but it was an easy choice for me to join this club.
You are listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport live. Well, we are from the King Power Stadium. Leicester City are out in Singapore at the National Stadium. We're hoping to bring you some nice sounds and audio from the stadium. We're struggling with our feed sound-wise from the Singapore National Stadium right now, but we still have our feed in front of us. So taking you through the game and describing every kick for you is your commentary team this morning, which still feels strange to say. Former Foxes winger Matt Piper and Owen Palmer-Atkin.
Thank you very much, Jack Rafferty. Yeah, good morning or good afternoon and welcome to King Power Stadium as we bring you the sights and hopefully the sounds soon as well of the National Stadium in Singapore, where Leicester City are taking on their final pre-season game before the start of the season, which kicks off a week today at King Power Stadium against Coventry City in the M69 derby. Today, though, Enzo Maresca has the first chance and the final chance to look at his side before the start of that game. So, the Leicester City team: Mads Hermansen, the goalkeeper; Ricardo, Yannick Vestergaard, Callum Doyle and Timothy Castagna, the 4 defenders, with a 3-man midfield of Harry Winks, Wilfred Ndidi and Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, and a 3-pronged attack as well. Mark Albrighton off the right-hand side, Casey McAteer off the left-hand side, and Pat Sandaka leading the line for the Foxes today. As for the bench, Danny Ward, Daniel Everson and Jakub Stolicic are 3 keepers. They're joined by James Justin, Harry Suter, Ben Nelson, Luke Thomas, Bouba Soumare, Hamza Chowdhury, Wanya Marcel Madavadua and Kelechi Iheanacho. As for Liverpool's side and for Jurgen Klopp, Kevin Kelleher is the goalkeeper. It's a back line of Alexander-Arnold, Van Dijk, Konate and Robertson. A 3-man midfield as well: Jones, Clark and Alexis McAllister, the new signing from Brighton, with Mo Salah off the right, Diogo Jota off the left and Darwin Núñez leading the line for Liverpool today. Their bench also 3 goalkeepers of Alisson, Adrian and Fabian Mrozek. They're also joined by Joe Gomez, Konstantinas Tsimikas, Joel Matip, Callum Scanlon, Jarrell Quansah, Dominic Szoboszlai, Harvey Elliott, James McConnell, Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, Ben Doak and Lewis Kumas. As the massive Liverpool flag is pulled across by the Liverpool fans, plenty of them out in Singapore, of course a worldwide fan base, and this is a very, very stern test for Leicester. So far in their pre-season, they've played behind closed doors games against OH Leuven, Peterborough and of course Port FC in Thailand, with only Northampton the only team that Leicester City have been able to play against in front of their fans. This, the final test, and perhaps the biggest one so far for Leicester. The final pre-season game for Leicester City, the final time for Enzo Maresca to imprint his vision on these players, and the final dress rehearsal for the new championship season. It takes place in Singapore, with Liverpool the opponents at the National Stadium, with 1 week to go until the 2023 to 2024 season beginning. It's Leicester City versus Liverpool in the final pre-season fixture. We're underway at the National Stadium and Liverpool in possession, and first and foremost, Matt Piper, we're just looking at the way that I guess Leicester City sit when their opposition have the ball, and the way that they're looking to I guess win the ball back. What have you made to it so far?
Well, the interesting start to the game is Ricardo's actually playing left back. Castagna's playing on the right side. I don't know whether that's a switch to allow Ricardo to look after Mo Salah, but the other interesting thing from Liverpool's point of view is Liverpool are playing exactly the same way that Leicester have played at the start of this pre-season. Trent Alexander-Arnold sort of setting up at right back, but concentrating his efforts in the middle of the park.
It's going to be interesting as well, Pikes, because against Port FC, Ricardo did play on the left-hand side as well. And what we saw was, in the second half of that one, we saw Ricardo stepping in from the left and being that midfielder rather than from the right. And that's a different level of flexibility maybe that Leicester City are able to have. Liverpool in possession though, with Mo Salah tries to dink it into Leicester City's area. It takes a deflection, wins it back, and then Mo Salah's feet let him down, and Mads Hermansen able to watch out of play for a Leicester goal kick. Salah trying to move it with his left and then put it onto his right, but just got the second touch far too heavy. Goal kick Leicester 0-0.
Well, I'm really interested today to see Max Hermansen. Leicester haven't really had the ball yet, so we've not seen him with the ball at his feet or Leicester playing out. That's nice from Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall.
Very good turn from Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, trying to keep possession, and goes inside to Ricardo, inside left channel, midway in his own half. Ricardo fouled by Darwin Núñez and takes the free kick quickly. Goes back to Yannick Vestergaard. Leicester in their brand new away kit, which harks back all the way to the early years of Leicester Foss. This kit does, Pipes. It was
beautiful.
I love it. It's a proper classic kit. Black shirt with a pale blue stripe that goes from shoulder to waist across the body. And Liverpool trying to attack now with Alexis McAllister. His touch lets him down in the end, but he's able to win it back, the World Cup winner. Leicester City win it with Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall and Wilfred Ndidi here. And Dewsbury-Hall, left-hand side on the halfway line, plays it down the line, looking for the feet of Casey McAteer, but he's intercepted well by Trent Alexander-Arnold. Out for a throw-in, 0-0 it remains. 3 minutes played here on BBC Leicester.
Well, that was nice. Quick, incisive from Dewsbury-Hall. Nice little pass. Trent Alexander-Arnold transitioning from the middle of the park to get back into the right back position. Just managed to get a toe on it and put it out of play. But that's the first time we've seen Leicester in possession. And as you said, in the Port FC game, Ricardo stepped inside. He's doing exactly the same against Liverpool. And this is the refreshing thing. If you've got an identity, you have to stick by it, whatever opposition you come up against. And that's what we seem to be doing, and Maresca's doing against Liverpool.
This is a better way, though, to get Yannick Vestergaard into this side, isn't it? By playing Ricardo at left back, because you're able to play Callum Doyle as the left centre half that moves into the kind of left side of a back three. Vestergaard remains in the middle, and it's the right back in Castagna who comes in to create that right hand sided centre back.
That's why that will be the ultimate reason why they switched it, because they don't want Jota in a foot race with Vestergaard, clearly.
Different option for Enzo Maresca as he tries to sound out the players he has at his disposal for now, although I think it's probably clear that the players that he has in his squad right now aren't going to be all the same players that he has come the end of the transfer window. Plenty of players, I'm sure, will maybe be looking at different moves, and perhaps Leicester City looking at bringing in 1, 2, 3, even 4 more players between now and the end of the window. Steffi Mavididi, perhaps the likelihood to be joining the Foxes next. We understand he was at Seagrave training ground on Saturday. As Leicester try and attack here with Casey McAteer, right-footed, plays it to the right-hand side of the penalty box. Albrighton delivers to the back post. It was just a little bit too heavy. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall not able to keep it in, but Mark Albrighton finding a little bit of space out there, found by Casey McAteer, and Leicester showing they are going to have a threat in this game. 0-0.
Wow, it was brilliant. Really was. Firstly from Vestergaard, he starts it off, spreads the play out wide to Casey McAteer. He comes in off the line, finds Albrighton on the right hand side. He tries to find Dewsbury-Hall at the back post, just overcooked his cross a little bit.
In the end, it went out for a throw-in to Liverpool, which they waste and find the feet of Harry Winks, who found Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, gives it away though to Mo Salah. Now an opportunity with Alexis McAllister to try and break forward. Wilfred Ndidi really strong in there, throws McAllister to the ground, but the referee deems it to be a foul, and Leicester City give away a free kick just inside the Liverpool half, dead centre. But not too bad of a free kick to give away in that area where McAllister breaking forward, Matt Piper.
Yeah, well, he didn't think it should have been a free kick, and neither did I. I thought it was a little soft. I thought it was a good challenge. He's good at that, Wilfred Ndidi, tackling backwards towards his own goal. I've got to say, I know we've already said it, but I've got to say it again. We've just had a close-up of the kit, and it is a stunner.
Well, Pipes, we're sat here at King Power Stadium. I think we might have to have a little date to the shop in a bit with Jack Raff as well, and get ourselves a new away strip.
I might have to nip down at half time. I like it that much.
Vestergaard goes back to Mads Hemmingsen. The Foxes playing around the press pretty well here against Liverpool.
Well, it's super. It really is. The way that they've just got out. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall's just lost it, as I said that, but
yeah, it was a bad pass from Wilfred Ndidi in the end, I think, for Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, but Dewsbury-Hall then gives away a free kick. There's no booking for the foul on Alexis McAllister, although I have to say, Pipes, in the game against Port FC, the referee was brandishing yellow cards here, there and everywhere for a behind closed door friendly, which I found pretty funny. But yeah, it was just an outstretched leg from Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall trying to win the ball back, and McAllister, as he passed it mid-air on the volley, just caught a couple of the Shepshed boys' studs in the end.
Yeah, more clumsy than malicious, I think.
Free kick taken quickly by Liverpool with Alexis McAllister.
Well, the first 2 opportunities that Hermansen's had the ball at his feet, he's looked so comfortable. I have to say, it looked more comfortable than me.
Well, I have to say, when I went to
really confident.
Yeah, in Thailand, Pipes, we sat down with him. We had a bit of a chat with him, and he was telling me how he used to be a striker or a winger when he was younger, and that changed to become a goalkeeper. He says he got further in the pitch as a delivery comes into the area. Mads Hemmingsen of course, takes it straight down his throat. And I know we like the new away kit, Pikes, but I'm not sure about this goalkeeper kit. It's bright pink with purple trimmings and purple shorts, which is a bit of an eyesore. But Leicester City playing their way out of defence. Mads Hemmingsen chipping the ball to the left-hand side, brought under control by Callum Doyle at left-back. Now Ricardo, who's moved into the midfield role, finds Harry Winks. Winks right-footed, inside right channel, controlling the ball, goes backwards to Vestergaard on the edge of the centre circle, finds Ricardo inside the centre circle, and Daka does well to hold the ball up and play it right-hand side now to Mark Albrighton. 8 minutes played, Liverpool 0, Leicester City 0 in their final pre-season game in Singapore.
Yeah, 8 minutes in and having the better of the play, looking really comfortable playing out. Leicester, Ricardo dropping into that midfield zone, keeps it along with Winks. Vestergaard launches it forward. It's actually quite a good ball in the end to Patson Daka.
Daka helps it on, and Casey McAteer might be in here. And Ndidi lurking. And Ndidi right-footed. Oh, what a save that is by Kelleher. And Ndidi arriving inside the box. A flick on by Patson Daka to find McAteer, who threaded the play around Liverpool's defence to find Ndidi, but he wasn't able to get the ball past Kelleher with a first-time finish. 0-0 it remains. And as Matt Piper says, the better of the play going Leicester's way.
Well, what an opportunity. Ndidi again getting into those positions. It's a lovely little ball around the corner from Casey McAteer. Feeds it into Ndidi's path. Kelleher's quick off his line. He gets a good contact on it, Ndidi. He kept it on target. Good save in the end from the Liverpool goalkeeper.
And arriving late as well, Wilfred Ndidi, to be part of the forward line. It's
well, who knew he had that skill set in his locker? Clearly Maresca does, because that's where he's playing him. But I've been really impressed with him playing more high 8 position.
It's an interesting tactic as a flick on by Liverpool. Núñez might be in here, chips it over Hemmingsen and puts it into the back of the net. Leicester City want an offside.
I think it will be.
We're just waiting for confirmation on that. It was a beautiful finish in the end by Darwin Núñez, who just dinked it over the top of Mads Hemmingsen. Yeah, he's clearly offside. The referee and the linesman does put the flag up in the end. It won't count so far. But Leicester City need to be careful in those areas. 0-0.
Yeah, it was a good play from Liverpool. He did go too soon, though. He's a good 2-3 yards offside. Leicester playing out. Wow, look at this. The Liverpool press is aggressive like we knew it would be. But at the minute, Hemmingsen, Winks, Ricardo, and they've played out again. This is brilliant play from Leicester.
And that's a great ball by Dewsbury Hall, finding Ndidi running beyond again. Ndidi left-footed, pulled it to the back post, and Albrighton was lurking there, waiting to tap it in, but it was Virgil van Dijk inside the 6-yard box who slide tackles to clear it over the bar, and Leicester City showing their attacking threats once more. 0-0, but probably should be in front here.
And Ndidi again. Who's took over Ndidi's body? Another run, really well timed, really well found by Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. It was a wonderful ball, and you got to go back just before that, and the way that they played out of such an aggressive Liverpool press. What a transition that was.
Corner Leicester, they're first to the game. Albrighton over it, right-footed, delivers towards the back post. Vestergaard goes up, wins his header. Vestergaard, it goes wide in the end, but for a second there on the angle that we're seeing, it looked like it may have been dropping in that bottom corner. But Vestergaard showing his power from set pieces and that height and strength that he possesses. 0-0.
Well, I got to say, I mean, there's a couple of players at the minute that seem in this pre-season that they're really taking advantage of the fact a new manager's come in, a new clean slate. Indeed, he's playing a different position and has been brilliant so far. Vestergaard's been really good. He really has.
Well, we'll have to wait and see as to how big a role he may play this season. Mo Salah tries to deliver into Leicester's box, but got the ball and the execution of it not right. I think it's fair to say it was pretty terrible from Mo Salah in the end, as Leicester go back into their resting defensive shape, which is almost a 4-5-1 really, isn't it, as Liverpool try to play around it, but Leicester's organisation helping them out here, and Liverpool just having to play in front of the lines, and Leicester saying, come and break us down. This is not something we've seen too often from Leicester. And Liverpool still trying to break forward here. Maybe an opportunity inside the area for Darwin Núñez trying to make a run forward. Intercepted by Ricardo. Picked up by Daka, but his first touch let him down. And Konate able to regain possession for Liverpool. Here goes McAllister. And Leicester able to win it back here, right hand side of Albrighton. Daka needs to be careful. Does he win a free kick? He does. It was Virgil van Dijk who stepped into the midfield to try and beat Patson Daka to the ball.
Well, he's looking sharp, Daka, as well. I mean, the good thing is it's not been an ideal pre-season with the, with the trip and the fact that the Spurs game got called off last week, and you play a sort of a lower side in Port FC. But you have to say the players do look fit at the minute and sharp, ready for action.
Well, the Championship season kicks off a week today. Pipes here at King Power Stadium, the M69 derby. What a way to start life back in the Championship. Be very interesting to see how Leicester adapts from what we're seeing here, really, to playing this kind of football in the Championship. Although Leicester have given it away here. Opportunity for Liverpool in the area. Darwin Núñez pulls it back to the edge of the box. Might find Salah, drops it off Alexander-Arnold, and it's a good save by Mads Hemmingsen. Drops down to his right-hand side. The shot from Alexander-Arnold with his left foot was low along the floor with his instep, but Mads Hemmingsen able to recover. 0-0 it remains.
I think you're going to get that at times. I mean, they've started the game brilliantly, Leicester, but that was a mistake, and it came from Castagna. He tried to find Vestergaard again. He should have just gone back to the goalkeeper. He tried to go back inside, overcomplicated it, gave the ball away. Big opportunity for Liverpool.
And Leicester City play their way out from the back once more with Ricardo, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you the sounds of the National Stadium in Singapore. 15 minutes played. You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester. Owen Palmer-Atkin, Matt Piper and Jack Rafferty, your match day team.
What a ball.
As Casey McAteer gets round his man. McAteer in the area, right-footed strike. Kelleher saves, goes out for a corner. Dewsbury Hall screaming at McAteer, saying, lay it up for me. And I think he was probably right in the end, the Shepshed boy. Corner Liverpool anyway, 0-0.
He was, but when you show that pace and you get past Alexander-Arnold like that, an international fullback, and you come inside and the situation opens up, I think you got to allow him to go for goal. He probably should have passed it to Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, who was absolutely going crazy at him. But what play. Great switch of the ball. Nice feet from Casey McAteer. Corner Leicester.
15 minutes on the clock. Albrighton delivers into the area. Vestergaard again goes up, heads over the bar this time. Goal kick for Kelleher. Clearly, though, a staple of what Leicester are trying to do from corners is to find Vestergaard with all that height at the back post. 0-0.
Yeah, wins it again. Challenge with Virgil van Dijk. Beats him in the air, which is not easy to do, but Vestergaard is such a huge man. They're clearly looking for him at every corner opportunity.
You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport as we bring you dedicated coverage of the final pre-season game. Long ball over the top from Liverpool, looking to find Mo Salah. Picks it up on the byline, right-hand side. Salah onto his left foot. Ricardo with him, delivers into the area, intercepted by Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, who now tries to break forward down the left-hand side, and he's outran in the end by Trent Alexander-Arnold. Not able to show the same pace as Casey McAteer did just a few minutes ago to burst around the England international, and Liverpool have it back inside the centre circle with Virgil van Dijk.
Well, I hope taking that abuse from Kiernan Dewsbury Hall has not, put Casey McAteer off his game. I'm sure it wouldn't. It didn't look very constructive though, did it? It just looked like he was going absolutely nuts at him. But he started the game really well as well. I've been really impressed.
Liverpool trying to play one-touch football on the edge of Leicester's area. There's a audacious overhead kick from Darwin Núñez on the edge of the box that didn't get the right execution again, and rolls through for Mads Hemmingsen to pick up in the Leicester City penalty area, and again drops the ball to his feet and plays it out for Ricardo, who's in a central midfield role with his back to Darwin Núñez. Keeps the ball well though, and Mads Hemmingsen clearly wants the ball at his feet whenever he can get it.
Well, we've just got a close-up of his kit as well, and you're right, Owen. Pink and purple. It looks like he's come in fancy dress. I'm not having that, Leicester City.
got a close-up here of Enzo Maresca, and he just kind of was, when you see something bright, you just readjust your eyes. I think he might have been looking at the kit as well. But either way, it may well put some forwards off when they're breaking forward. And Ricardo and Harry Winks combine in the middle of the park to play around Núñez and Salah. Long ball forward from the left-hand side, goes over the top of Robertson. Does it find Albrighton in the box? Robertson did just enough to pick it back up in a left-back position, plays it down the line, and there was Timothy Castagna right-footed to make sure that Jota had nothing to say in the matter, puts it out for a throw-in. 18 minutes on the clock, and actually, Matt Piper, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Leicester look like more of the Premier League side here.
They do. At the minute, I mean, Maresca, I was just going to say, I think Maresca will be absolutely delighted with the way that his team have started the game, the way they're playing out, because make no mistake, Liverpool are not sitting off. It's the same Liverpool as we've always seen under Jurgen Klopp, really aggressive, really trying to press high, and so far there's only been one mistake from Leicester at trying to play through that press.
Hunting in packs as well, trying to win the ball back at Leicester. At the moment it's Bobby Clark combining with Alexander-Arnold, who, similar to Ricardo's, moves into the midfield and switches the play now to find Salah. Brings it down first time on his left foot, steps inside, 30 yards from goal, into the feet now as a delivery into the back post. Darwin Núñez able to get it, pulls it back into the area. Will there be a striker goal from the penalty spot? Leicester scramble and able to win it with Ricardo breaking forward. Heavy touch though, lets it go. Alexander-Arnold delivers towards the back post. Is that one going to be too high for Jota? It's not. He's able just to keep it under control and goes backwards into the feet of Robertson. Liverpool maybe starting to turn the screw here a little. 19 minutes played, 0-0. It's with Salah, right hand side, 30 yards out.
I actually like the structure out of possession from Leicester as well, because when they get set, it's a real good, solid structure. And Liverpool are having to play in front of it at the minute, can't penetrate it.
It's a 4-5-1 structure when out of the ball that fluidly moves into a 3-2-4-1 when they have it, and then into even more of an attacking phase. Leicester get more bodies forward, like Wilfred and Ndidi bombing down the line. Here is Mo Salah, inside right channel, midway inside Leicester's half, spreads the play left-footed. Liverpool looking to try and break forward here. This might be a delivery from Robertson. He goes backwards. Striker goal here from Mads Hemmingsen, does just enough to gather it inside his 6-yard box. It bounced up in front of him, and with 20 minutes on the clock, it remains 0-0.
Well, I mean, it's ambitious from Curtis Jones. He steps inside and tries to beat Hemmingsen from sort of 30-35 yards, but that's just testament to the way that Leicester have defended and the structure that they've got. They've frustrated Liverpool.
Mads Hemmingsen not showing the ball playing attributes there as he launches it forward, but Casey McAteer getting stuck into Canate there and bullying him really to put it out of play for a Leicester throw.
Well, he's rapid as well. I didn't realise he was so quick. Casey McAteer
had a loan spell at Wimbledon last season and Forest Green Rovers as well, I think. So has got that experience that you were talking about with Jack in the pre-match show pipes that Luke Thomas was perhaps looking for over the last couple of seasons. Went out, played league football week in, week out. I know you talk about your time at Mansfield being a real key moment in your career.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so important for development. There's no better teacher than the game itself. And I found that out when I went to Mansfield. Absolutely gutted when Dave Bassett asked me to go. I got in, I played that first game, thought I did well, and then next thing I know, I'm driving up to Mansfield for 3 months. But it was brilliant preparation for me, and it taught me so much in that time. And I think it's the loan market is really powerful for youngsters.
Corner Leicester then. Mark Albrighton takes it quickly from the left-hand side. McAteer drops it back off. Albrighton delivers high into the box, but too heavy, goes out of play for a Liverpool goal kick. 22 minutes played. You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport as we bring you dedicated coverage of Leicester City's final pre-season game, this time against Liverpool at the National Stadium in Singapore. Owen Palmer, Atkin, Matt Piper and Jack Rafferty with you on 104.9 FM and the BBC Sounds app. Look at this stat. Possession in the opposition half. Leicester have had 72% possession in the opposition half.
Well, Albrighton just won a corner. That's terrific play down the right hand side. Dropped a little step over in. Robertson and Jota both keeping him company, but wins the corner out on that right hand side. Yeah, I mean, Leicester have been the better team by far. I think 22, 23 minutes in, I've been really impressed.
So Mark Albrighton corner then, Leicester's fourth of the game. He's going to take this from the right hand side, so an outswinger on this occasion, puts his left arm in the air, right footed, into the area it comes, and Didi went up, but Kanate got there first, and anywhere will do by Robertson. Missed though by Dewsbury Hall, and Mo Salah nearly got there for a second, but Ricardo did just enough. Callum Doyle breaking forward now, left hand side corner of the box. It's with Casey McAteer, 2 step overs, tackled this time, and then puts in another slide tackle, does McAteer, and Doyle has it level with the 18-yard box. The flag goes up for an offside, I think, on Callum Doyle in the end. 23.5 minutes played, 0-0 it remains. But Casey McAteer, Matt Piper, I know you've been gagging for wingers to come into the club, but he's showing some very, very good traits here.
He is. He started ever so well. He looks fast. He's aggressive. You know, when he's got the opportunity to cut inside, he has done. Picked out some nice passes. Arguably Dewsbury Hall got on it on his back. He should have maybe passed that one instead of going for goal himself, but I like to see that confidence in a youngster. You know, step in, create your own opportunity. When Dewsbury Hall has a go at you, tell him to do one.
I guess there is certainly a difference in the game, though, isn't there, in the level of communication as Liverpool win it back here. Darwin Núñez into the feet of Mo Salah, delivers towards the back post. Whoa, good save by Mads Hemmingsen, tips it away to his right hand side, picked up by Núñez in the box. He turns quite dramatically on the edge of the area now. His pass is intercepted by Dewsbury Hall, and Winks able to clear. It's picked up though by Liverpool again with Curtis Jones, and now Robertson back with Jones, 30 yards out. Will he try and deliver into Leicester's area? Instead he goes wide once more into Robertson.
Well, we couldn't actually see with the feed that we're watching how we gave the ball away on that occasion, but clearly it was playing out. I think it was Hemmingsen gave it away. It was 3v2 at the back in Liverpool's favour, and in the end he has to make a good save to keep the score level.
Jota, left hand side, delivers left footed low into the area, hits a Leicester man, goes out for Liverpool's first corner of the game. 0-0 it remains. We've played 25 minutes at the National Stadium.
Just waiting for a replay to see that last phase, how we did give it away. And listen, I think what we've all got to do as a fan base this season is realise that playing this way, you can't be perfect. You are going to make mistakes.
Delivery left footed by Robertson. Hemmingsen punches, it goes back to Robertson. The Scot on the far side delivers again into the area, this time hits another Leicester City man in Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, and goes out for Liverpool's second corner of the game.
Just before we signed Hemmingsen, didn't we receive some information that he struggled with crosses? I think we've seen it on that occasion. Probably should have caught that ball. He decided to punch it instead.
Delivery into Leicester's area, this time headed away by Yannick Vestergaard. Yeah, we spoke to Sebastian Stanbury, Danish football journalist, and he said incredible shot stopper, great with his feet playing out from the back, but he's not incredibly tall, so often doesn't come out to try and collect crosses. And everything Sebastian was saying, I was thinking Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah, it must be how they're brought up football wise in Denmark. Stay on your line. If you do come out, try and punch it instead of catching it, because I definitely thought he should have caught that last cross. He decided to punch it and cleared it away anyway. But I've got to say, I have been really impressed with him, of what I've seen so far.
Just a £5.5 million move from Brøndby for Mads Hemmingsen. Signed a 5-year deal. He's very popular with his teammates already, we hear, and quite ambitious as well. When he spoke to us at the Pullman Hotel that King Power own in Thailand, I asked him about what he wanted to achieve in his 5 years, and he said, I just want to repeat 2016 as the delivery into the area goes all the way through. for Liverpool, picked up by Castagna, but yeah, it's that ambition, isn't it, as Ndidi pops it off for Albrighton. The ball in the end did go out of play, so it will be a Liverpool throw 20 yards inside Leicester's half on the left hand side for Jurgen Klopp.
I mean, I know it's a friendly, and we knew it would be between these two sides, but it has a real ebb and flow to the game. It's been aggressive, they're putting it all in.
As Mo Salah delivers with the outside of his left boot towards the back post from the right hand side. It's was devoid of any real accuracy towards a Liverpool man, and Leicester give the ball away. McAllister's pass is intercepted by Ndidi. Now with Dewsbury Hall, needs a pass forward, didn't have one, and in the end is fouled by Ibrahima Konate. And Enzo Maresca, a couple of kick-ups, gets the ball in his hand. Did you see the video of him training with the lads the other day, Pipes?
No, I didn't.
Popping it around in a little rondo. Kieran Dewsbury Hall was in the middle, and he was giving the young man the runaround.
Love it. that was nice skill. He just did there, flicked it up a couple of times. Not seen any little claps yet from Maresca, which I'm happy about.
I can't believe that's still winding you up.
It's not anymore.
It doesn't sound like it either.
No. It can wind the Celtic summaриser up now.
You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport. Nearly half an hour played at the National Stadium in Singapore as Leicester City concluding their pre-season tour of Thailand and Singapore ahead of the start of the championship season. If you did miss any of the podcasts we brought you from Thailand, then just head over to the When You're Smiling podcast. As maybe an opportunity here for Liverpool striking goal. It's Darwin Núñez at the back post. A ball played down the left-hand side channel for Diogo Jota, struck across goal, saved by Mads Hemmingsen, but he only could push it towards the back stick where Núñez was lurking, Núñez was waiting, and Núñez pounced to give Liverpool the lead in this game. 29.5 minutes played, Liverpool 1, Leicester 0.
Yeah, well, that's what happens against the top teams. A lapse in concentration for a second or two, they will punish you. It was actually a good save by Hemmingsen at the back post, but arguably he made it a little more easier for Darwin Núñez. It was a turn from Jota. It was sort of a cross-come shot. I think if he let it go in the first place, I think it was probably going just wide from Jota. Gets it out of his left foot. We're just seeing the images now. Yeah, it was just going to sneak wide, I think. So if Hemmingsen had left it originally, it would have gone out for a goal kick. In the end, he gets a hand on it, which was a good save, but he pushes it into the path of Darwin Núñez, who smashes it into the back of the net. Leicester, unfortunate, I think, to be 1-0 down. I think they have been the better side in the opening 30 minutes.
But as you say, Pipes, this is, and we know this all too well for the time that Leicester have spent in the Premier League. This is the sort of thing that can happen against a side with the quality of players of Liverpool. As McAllister wriggles away, plays a 1-2 with Núñez. He's then tackled in the end by Wilfred Ndidi. And then Pasandaka just passes it inadvertently to Diogo Jota, backwards towards Leicester's goal. Jota still has it, and then Jota's pass is poor, looking for Robertson on the overlap, who made the run outside rather than in. And Leicester City have themselves a goal kick. 31 minutes played, Liverpool 1, Leicester 0.
Yeah, well, the important thing is to not let it, affect the way that they started the game, because they have been the better side. I hope it doesn't knock their confidence. They still seem to be playing out. Hemmingsen to Vestergaard, out to Callum Doyle, and then they try and build the play. Just overcooks it with his pass that time. Liverpool back in possession, but I'm sure Maresca will change a few things at half-time. Personnel.
Yeah. Both teams have plenty on the bench. Sure, be interesting to see how much the changes are rang as the ball is played forward looking for Salah, couldn't bring it under control, and Ricardo does enough to get the ball, go round the Egypt international, and then pass it forwards, thrown in the end for Liverpool, taken by Alexander Arnold into the feet of Curtis Jones. 32 minutes played. You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport as we bring you dedicated coverage of Leicester's final pre-season game against Liverpool at the National Stadium in Singapore. They are 1-0 down as it stands, thanks to a goal from Darwin Núñez in the 30th minute. Owen Palmer-Atkin, Matt Piper and Jack Rafferty, your matchday team. We're here at King Power Stadium, where a week today Leicester will kick off their championship campaign.
Just cutting the King Power grass in the background.
Plenty of work going on, getting ready for the stadium to welcome the new championship season. Here is Mo Salah, level with the edge of the 18-yard box, goes back to Alexander-Arnold, delivering to the area, and it's a strike over the bar from Diogo Jota, arriving on the corner of the 6-yard box on the left-hand side, on the volley, lifts it over the bar, but Castagna lost his man for a second there. 1-0 it remains, 33 gone.
I think he does that a lot, Castagna, especially more, I think, when he's playing right back. I think he's more suited to the left back position, gets underneath the ball. Timothy Castagna, ball watching, doesn't see the movement of Robertson coming round the back. Thankfully it was Robertson that had the opportunity. Sort of skied it over Max Hemmingsen's bar.
Liverpool have it then with Virgil van Dijk. Left hand side, good turn around the corner from McAllister into Darwin Núñez. It's in the end, it's cleared away. Indeed, able to pick it up dead centre, halfway inside Leicester's half. Back with Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, who, under a little bit of pressure, rolls the ball back to Mads Hemmingsen. And he takes his time in order to find Ricardo and gets it back. Dribbles 5 yards forward, Mads Hemmingsen, looking for his next pass. He's prepared to wait. And then right-footed just spreads the play to the right back, Timothy Castagna.
Well, he's got all the little touches, hasn't it? Rolls it out of his feet with his studs, then rolls it back, a little outside of the foot touch, and then spreads it wide to Castagna. He's got that confidence about his game with the ball at his feet.
You were desperate for a winger to come in, Pipes. They did bar one in the end. Liverpool breaking forward though. Salah, corner of the box, right hand side onto his left foot, pulls it back, striker goal, and Liverpool have their second. And it's the young man Bobby Clark who got the ball off of Mo Salah inside Leicester's 18-yard box, and first time right-footed sends it into the bottom left-hand corner. And within a matter of minutes, Liverpool have doubled their lead. 35 gone, Liverpool 2, Leicester 0.
Yeah, well, they took the confidence from that first goal. They've been the better side since the goal. I think the opening 30 minutes, Leicester would definitely had the better of the play, looked the most impressive. But Liverpool got that goal and they've sort of took it on a stride. Comes out to Mo Salah on the right-hand side. I actually thought Doyle played him quite well. He was opening up the outside of the pitch for him to go on his right foot, because we know Mo Salah always wants to come inside on his left. Unfortunately, he comes in, he tucks it inside to Bobby Clark, who entered the penalty area with a late run, and he sweeps it first time into Max Hemmingsen's far corner.
Leicester themselves trying to break forward now, but Albrighton's ball looking for Patson Daka inside the Liverpool 18-yard box isn't good enough, and Kevin Kelleher was able to jump out of his 6-yard box and claim it.
Yeah, Maresca turned away in disgust when that goal went in. Just incisive, Liverpool in the transition, and Leicester trying to get back in.
And here come Liverpool again. It's with Mo Salah, skips around Ricardo. Mo Salah a roulette there. And in the end, Ricardo was able to gather back. McAteer goes down, wants a free kick, gets a free kick, does the young man. 36 and a half gone. Liverpool 2, Leicester 0, and Liverpool have taken control of this game in the final pre-season friendly.
Well, I tell you what's been missing this pre-season is goals, isn't it? Really, I don't think, we've played some really nice football under Maresca. I think we have done this afternoon. But it seems at the minute to lack that cutting edge, doesn't it? The build-up plays lovely, getting into some really nice areas. But when it's in and around that 18-yard box, we've just sort of failed to make Kelleher work.
But I guess this is the result of what can happen when you sell the goals and assists of Harvey Barnes and James Maddison and don't really replace them as of yet.
Yeah, well, hopefully we've made strides to do that with the new signing.
Salah into the area, header by Nunes and into the bottom corner. In the end it was Diogo Jota who won the header. Ball from Mo Salah into the box. Jota rose highest and gets Liverpool's third. And Leicester City have crumbled, conceding 3 goals in 8 minutes. And now, with 7 to go until half-time, Liverpool 3, Leicester 0.
Well, this is where it starts to become concerning, because that first goal goes in and you can play really well for 30 minutes, but then I said you can't allow it to affect you, and it looks like they have. Liverpool have been the better side the last 8 minutes, scored 3 goals in that time, and what you can't afford to do, listen, it's Liverpool, they're one of the best sides in the world, but what you can't afford to do is, as you say, crumble, fold when things get difficult and a goal goes in.
Ball played forward though, Daka's touch let him down, he was offside anyway. But found himself in the box.
Again, what we're missing, I think, is that leadership of just someone saying, keep your head. I can envision him out there now, Conor Coder. If he was there, that first goal goes in, I can see him pointing to his temples, pulling people in, saying, calm back down, let's keep it tight for 5 minutes, and then we'll go again. That leadership doesn't seem to be there in this team, and they just fold way too easily.
And we are seeing the fragilities, I guess, of what we have seen over the last few years, the last couple of seasons for Leicester reappearing as Mo Salah picks it up again, right hand side, he's getting into the flow of things now, corner of the box on the right, tries to play a 1-2 with Nunes. Nunes got the second pass wrong, but Salah and Clark have managed to win the ball back off of Ricardo.
What you don't want now is it to turn into a cricket score, because that will really hurt the confidence of the group, especially being the last pre-season game before the huge first game of the season, which we're only a week away from now against Coventry.
Leicester City will fly home this evening, I believe.
Did they stay on UK time while they were out there?
I think there was a element of slowly adjusting and then slowly adjusting back.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, Singapore are even a further, so Thailand 6 hours ahead, Singapore are 7 hours ahead.
How did you find it getting back?
I barely slept whilst I was out there to start with, Pipe, so it's difficult. Although, as the saying goes, which I was told, west is best, east is a beast. So flying west is much better because you're coming back and you kind of travel through time, and you kind of make up just about the amount of time that you're in the air for. Whereas when you're flying out there,
it's harder to adjust.
For example, my flight back was about midnight Bangkok time, and I landed at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. UK time. So if you are able to, and I'm sure they'll be in a very comfortable setting, if they are able to fly back tonight and sleep on the plane.
Well, remember, we have gone down to the Championship, so they might fly back economy.
I doubt that. I don't think there'll be any budget airline costs for Leicester City on the way back from Singapore, as the delivery into the air is claimed this time by Maz Hemmenson, which is a little bit stronger, a little bit better from the new Leicester goalkeeper.
I mean, what you will say about the 3 goals that have gone in, they seem to have huge space on the far hand side, and they've all hit the side netting. So
Leicester give the ball away, 20 yards out, Salah into the area, tries to lay it off for Nunez, who was arriving. Striker goal, hits Vestergaard, Doyle able left-footed to keep it and hook it away for a Liverpool throw. And as good as Leicester started, Pipes, they seem to have had a bit of a moment where they've just lost their heads and they've forgotten a little bit about what the game plan is.
Yeah, I think, and that's what I was worried about. That's why when that first goal went in, I said they have to, keep their heads now and don't fold. Unfortunately, they have done. They just tried to play out. I mean, they made mistakes when it was 0-0. I think they made two big mistakes. Castagna tried to play out once, and Hemmingson tried to play out once, gave it away, gave Liverpool an opportunity to attack their goal. And they've just done it again. Goes into Winks. This time Liverpool have got the bit between their teeth. They're 3-0 up. They want the fourth, and they swarmed around him and he gave it away. They get another opportunity at Hemmingson's goal, so they've got to be careful that this doesn't turn into a cricket score.
Nunez nearly found his way through there, and actually what you're seeing is that leadership you spoke about there. You're seeing that from Callum Doyle there at that moment as the ball was played through Leicester's midfield. It kind of bypassed everyone really from McAllister, and then Castagna gives the ball away. Again, halfway line, Liverpool are able to get it back with Virgil van Dijk. We've got just over a minute until we played the 45 in the first half, but I'm sure we'll get a little bit of time added on at the end of this one.
Well, if Castagna is one of those who is still wanting to move away to a bigger club this summer, he's got to fix up a little bit. He's probably been one of the poorest players for Leicester in this first half, made numerous mistakes, been out of position, under the ball for crosses. As I say, I don't think that right side position is his best suited. I do think Castagna's better on the as a left fullback.
Delivery towards the corner flag on the right hand side for Liverpool, picked up by Salah. Into the box he goes, Ricardo for company. Salah drops it off. There's going to be a striker goal here, hits a combination of Vestergaard and Dewsbury Hall, I think, and Liverpool still in possession. They're able to try and deliver with Salah left-footed, corner of the box. Ricardo watches him not once but twice and puts it out of play for a Liverpool throw, who are in their green and white checkered kit today, both sides playing in their away kit. It's a football purist nightmare. Salah tries to skew a ball forward. Ricardo gives the ball away. In McAllister pulls it back, strike, and it hits the stanchion behind the goal. McAllister picked it up on the byline, pulled it back for Jota, who right-footed swung it round Maz Hemmingson's near post, and it hits the stanchion behind the goal, and Leicester lucky not to be 4-0 down here. It remains 3-0 with just a few moments to go until half-time.
Yeah, well, should be 4. I think Ricardo wanted a free kick. Jota sort of gave him a nudge in the back, but I don't think there was enough in it. McAllister should score, really.
There's a minute added on at the end of this first half. We're into that minute now as Leicester try and break forward here with Dewsbury Hall. Tries to incise a pass towards McAteer, but does Konate put it out for a corner? He does. Leicester's 5th of the game, and the first time they've come forward really since, well, for the last 15 minutes since they conceded the first goal.
It's been such a strange half. I think Leicester were brilliant for 30 minutes, and then the goal goes in for Liverpool, you'd say against the run of play. And then Leicester have just folded, to be honest. It could be, 4-5 by this point. I think without Conor Cody in the side or Jamie Vardy, it does lack that leadership.
Corner, Leicester, delivered by Dewsbury Hall low. It's not a great corner from the left-hand side. It's headed back into the box, but falls straight into the arms of Liverpool keeper Kelleher, and there goes the half-time whistle at the National Stadium in Singapore. A half of 2 halves, I think it's probably fair to say. Leicester City started the much better side. They were playing some brilliant football and perhaps could have been not 1 but 2 goals up after chances for Wilfred Ndidi. But Liverpool survived and then punished the Foxes. Darwin Núñez scoring at the back post to get the first, Clark rolling it into the bottom corner to get the second, and then a Diogo Jota header, all within 8 minutes between the 30th and the 38th, have all but finished this game, and now it is very much an exhibition for Leicester City, unless we see some miraculous Enzo ball in the second half. But for now, at half-time, it's Liverpool 3, Leicester City 0. To take you through the half-time analysis, former Leicester City winger Matt Piper and your matchday presenter, Joe Rafferty.
Owen, thank you very much indeed. Yeah, City 3-0 down. But Pipes, it was a good start. You were waxing lyrical about what Enzo Maresca would have seen from his players at the start of that game.
Yeah, I mean, for the first 30 minutes, I thought they were brilliant. I really did. Clearly made a couple of mistakes in that time of trying to play out, but we know that's the way the manager wants to play. That's the way he set his team up. That is the identity now of this team. They will try and play out, but the reason why I like it, it's quick, it's incisive. They get through the lines of the opposition like they have done against Liverpool in that first 30 minutes, and then they're out, and then they're attacking onto the back line. What you would say about that first 30 minutes is when we did get into some really strong areas by playing that football, it sort of fell down in and around the 18-yard box, and it wasn't, sharp enough, and the cutting edge wasn't really there. So clearly, that's a little bit worrying, being only a week away before the first game of the Championship. Hopefully, Vardy's back before that point. Iheanacho to get an opportunity, hopefully. And hopefully the new signing that's coming in Mavidide. Because we do lack, it seems, at the top end of the pitch to have that cutting edge. But brilliant for 30 minutes. Liverpool score the goal against the run of play, and then they've been the best side for the last 15 minutes and shown their quality, really.
You mentioned the mistakes, and admittedly, even when it was going well for Leicester, there was a couple in there, and Liverpool could have created chances. For you, is that Leicester City learning a new style of play, learning to play out the back, learning to play the Maresca way, and it just not quite being at 100% yet? Or is it because you're against one of the best pressing teams in the league in Liverpool?
I think it's a contribution of three things. The first thing would be what you say is, clearly we're playing against one of the best sides in the world, and when they get their press unified, it's really difficult to play through. We've done it well at times, and other times, Liverpool are going to, put a foot on it and nick it, win it back, and then, you're against the transition of Liverpool, and you have to try and manage that. The second thing is, I've lost my train of thought of what I was saying. What was the question again?
So, when Leicester were losing the ball, even when it was going well, was it Liverpool being brilliant at the press, as you were just alluding to there, or were you concerned about Leicester City struggling to implement this style from Enzo Maresca that he clearly wants to play?
Yeah, and that's the second thing. Sorry, thanks for the reminder. The second thing is that it's a new style, and it's not going to happen overnight, and sometimes you're going to do it brilliantly, which I think we've seen at parts of that first half, and sometimes you're not, and that's where the mistakes happen. That's what's happened, and I think it's a learning process. Don't forget how much he's changed his team as well, and the individuals in it throughout this pre-season. So you're always playing with someone different on your inside or on your outside or just in front of you. So it's going to take a while to implement this style. And the third thing is, even Man City give the ball away, who are well drilled and well schooled in this way of playing, and the top teams do at times, because it is risk versus reward, and you have to take them risks, knowing at times you're going to give the ball away in important areas and you might get punished. And unfortunately, that's what Liverpool have done to us in that sort of last 15 minutes of the first half.
Bearing in mind such a key topic in conversation about Leicester City and their struggles in their Premier League relegation last year was about a lack of leaders and lack of leadership on the pitch. How concerned are you that clearly Conor Coady was brought in to be that? He isn't playing because he's injured, and we have seen City crumble in effect in the last 15 minutes of that first half.
Yeah, well, what you was looking for after that first goal, I said it in commentary, I hope they don't lose their heads now. I hope they keep the confidence. and you know, they batten down the hatches for 5 minutes. That's so important. You know, I know it's only a pre-season friendly, but this is where you want to start getting things right. And you know, we may go a goal down to Coventry next week. Who knows? And what you need is someone on the pitch. You know, I had so many when I was playing, and you know, Matt Elliott, Taggart, Walsh, whoever it was, someone would say, "Hey, we don't concede again now for 5 minutes." You know, whatever that is, you know, the structure that you have, you need that leader on the pitch to tell everyone, calm down, 5 minutes now, we keep it tight and we keep it controlled. And that clearly didn't happen. And then 2 goes in and 3 goes in very quickly. And then all of a sudden, as I said, you could find it, you know, turning into a cricket score if you're not careful.
Well, you are listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport. Leicester City 3-0 down at half-time of their final pre-season friendly of the summer against Liverpool from Singapore. We'll have a reminder of the first half in just a sec.
Every kick,
Every goal,
every game, live.
BBC Radio Leicester Sport.
By Liverpool, here chips it over Hemminson and puts it into the back of the net. Leicester City want an offside. Yeah, he's clearly offside. The referee and the linesman does put the flag up in the end. It won't count so far, but Leicester City need to be careful in those areas. 0-0. Opportunity for Liverpool in the area. It's Darwin Núñez pulls it back to the edge of the box, might find Salah, drops it off Alexander-Arnold, and it's a good save by Mads Hemminson. Drops down to his right hand side. The shot from Alexander-Arnold with his left foot was low along the floor with his instep, but Mads Hemminson able to recover. 0-0 it remains. Casey McAteer gets round his man. McAteer in the area, right-footed strike. Kelleher says, goes out for a corner. Dewsbury Hall screaming at McAteer, saying, lay it up for me. And I think he was probably right in the end, the Shepshed boy. Corner Liverpool anyway, 0-0. Maybe an opportunity here for Liverpool, striking goal! It's Darwin Núñez at the back post. A ball played down the left-hand side channel for Diogo Jota. Struck across goal, saved by Mads Hemminson, but he only could push it towards the back stick where Núñez was lurking, Núñez was waiting, and Núñez pounced to give Liverpool the lead in this game. 29.5 minutes played, Liverpool 1, Leicester 0. Liverpool breaking forward though, Salah, corner of the box, left right hand side onto his left foot, pulls it back, striker goal, and Liverpool have their second. And it's the young man, Bobby Clark, who got the ball off of Mo Salah inside Leicester's 18-yard box, and first time right-footed sends it into the bottom left-hand corner, and within a matter of minutes Liverpool have doubled their lead. 35 gone, Liverpool 2, Leicester 0. Salah into the area, header by Núñez and into the bottom corner. Oh, in the end it was Diogo Jota who won the header. Ball from Mo Salah into the box. Jota rose highest and gets Liverpool's third. And Leicester City have crumbled, conceding 3 goals in 8 minutes. And now, with 7 to go until half-time, Liverpool 3, Leicester 0. Cardo gives the ball away. In McAllister pulls it back, strike, and it hits the stanchion behind the goal. McAllister picked it up on the byline, pulled it back for Jota, who right-footed swung it round Mads Hemminson's near post, and it hits the stanchion behind the goal, and Leicester lucky not to be 4-0 down here.
So that, the story of the first half from Singapore. Leicester City 3-0 down in their final pre-season friendly. Of course, looking ahead to that season opener against Coventry next weekend. We are back in action in Singapore. Liverpool against Leicester City in their pre-season friendly. So I'll hand you back to your commentary team. Former Foxes winger Matt Piper and Owen Palmer-Atkin.
Thank you very much, Jack Rafferty. Plenty of changes at the break for either side, but we've not been told or given any kind of explanation about who is on and who is off, so we'll hopefully bring those for you shortly. It doesn't look like there's too many changes for Leicester at this moment in time, but Liverpool are breaking forward now. There may be an opportunity right hand side into the area, looking for a fourth. Liverpool come across as a strike over the bar, and Leicester survive just about from conceding a fourth. And not a good start to the second half for Leicester City in Singapore. 3-0 it remains, but Liverpool in control once more. Welcome back, Matt Piper.
Welcome back, Owen.
Liverpool still pushing, looking for a fourth in this one. The ball rolls out. Is that going to be a corner to Liverpool? I think it is.
Yeah, chance for Gakpo. It was Vestergaard trying to play out. He tried to loft the ball into midfield, go over the top of the first press, give it away. Pretty poor from him. Leicester look fragile to start the second half. Last 15 minutes of the first half, it's quite concerning.
Delivery right-footed into the area. Heads go up. It's headed away by Wilfred Ndidi. It's going to be picked up on the left-hand side by Tsimikas, the Greek international, one of the subs that's come on in this second half.
I mean, the hope you've got to have is that Leicester don't turn into a Brighton under Graham Potter the first year or two. Played some terrific football, didn't win many games. Because ultimately, it's not what the football looks like, especially in the Championship, it's getting results. You don't want them to be a really nice team that play lovely football, but, you know, on the first game of the season, get beat 4-0 by Cov.
Yeah, that's not going to be ideal. And you would hope that there is a plan in place to make sure that doesn't happen, as Tsimikas picks it up again. It's with the number 8 Dominic Szoboszlai, the new signing for Liverpool, and a free kick is given for Leicester City against Liverpool.
Well, they're the team that have made plenty of changes. Diaz comes on, Gakpo.
Well, they've made 10 changes, Pipes.
Wow.
Every single outfield player off. Only Kelleher survives.
And you would say, arguably, it's near enough as strong as the starting 11. That's the strength in depth teams like Liverpool have got.
Bless me. Don't think I've ever sneezed on the radio before, but there we go. Leicester City in possession with Castagna at right back. Winks able to find Vestergaard, brings it down on his left knee, but was being closed down very, very quickly by Cody Gakpo. And Leicester able to win themselves a throw-in on the left-hand side. And Liverpool have won it back here. Gakpo coming forward. It might be a potential striker goal here, but Castagna able to hook it away. Leicester trying to look after the ball here, but Albrighton battling away with Tsimikas, and it goes out of play for a Liverpool throw.
I mean, it's stating the obvious, but a goal would really help Leicester now. It just lift that confidence. I don't expect them to go on to win the game at 3-0 down against Liverpool, but a goal, lift the confidence, keep it tighter at the back in the second half. I think that's the best we can hope for.
Well, Liverpool are in possession with Luis Diaz, and then Tsimikas switches the play to find Gomez, who's come on at right back for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Harvey Elliott now back to Gomez, right hand side, chops it onto his left foot. Gomez, centre half who can play at right back, of course. Here is Harvey Elliott, tries to nutmeg Casey McAteer. A couple of step overs and I think there's a flip flap in the end, and nutmeg McAteer. And Ricardo able to win a throw in for Leicester down the right hand side. And Leicester have not shown the reaction, I guess, Matt Piper, that many fans and perhaps yourself would have been looking for.
No, it was always going to be difficult, you know, going 3 down, Liverpool making sort of 10 changes, really freshening things up. Leicester's confidence harmed after that first half. I think Liverpool showing now that they've just sort of put their foot on the ball and controlling things. It's going to be a real difficult second half, I think, for Leicester. You want to see some changes to freshen it up. Maybe bring Kelechi and Nacho on. It's one of those changes.
Well, we'll have to wait and see as to whether that is going to be the case for Leicester, whether they are going to be able to bring on or make any changes in this second half, as Dewsbury Hall fouling, trying to win the ball back, and Liverpool get us back underway. We've played just over 5 minutes in this second half. Here is Luis Diaz, left-hand side, step over his right foot, wants it, plays it into the area, striker goal and set, and it's a block by, was it Wilfred Ndidi in there? The combination of him and Yannick Vestergaard from Cody Gakpo. And it flies wide, and it's going to be a third Liverpool corner.
Well, Castagna played Diaz all wrong then. I mean, the ball's transitioning. It was a big switch from right to left. While it's in the air, you've got to close that distance. You can't allow someone like Diaz to have 3 or 4 metres to have a run at you.
Delivery into the area, heads go up. It's eventually headed away. It was Quansah, I think, in the end that got there for Liverpool, but Castagna racing after the ball, unable to keep it in play for Leicester, so it's going to be a Liverpool throw. Diaz scoops the ball into his hands and takes it quickly and goes back to Tsimikas. Diaz pops it off for Szoboszlai, the new signing for Liverpool. He has it again. Left-hand side, midway inside Leicester's half. Tsimikas goes backwards towards Quansah and Joel Matip.
Yeah, just controlling things at the minute, Liverpool.
They are, and
very similar to how Leicester started the game.
Yeah, very difficult for Leicester to get their foot on the ball, really, isn't it, and get anywhere near how they will want to be playing. Just being controlled by this Liverpool side. With 8 minutes played in this second half, it's Liverpool 3, Leicester City 0. You are listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport. Owen Palmer-Atkin, Matt Piper and Jack Rafferty, your match day team. So there are 10 changes at half-time for Liverpool. And the players coming on, I'll run through in just a second, as Castagna wins his header and Albrighton then drops it off, but it only finds Luis Diaz into the feet of Cody Gakpo, right-footed into Harvey Elliott, but Ricardo on the edge of the 18-yard box, dead centred, made the run around and back inside cleverly enough to clear it away, right-footed, but Liverpool just regained possession. So Liverpool's back line is Gomez at right back, Joel Matip and Quansah at centre half, with Tsimikas at left back. In the midfield they got Harvey Elliott, Szoboszlai and James McConnell, with Diaz, Gakpo and Doak leading the line for Jurgen Klopp's side. No changes at the break for Leicester City.
Yeah, just tiring a little bit. Leicester, it does take it out of you when you're just constantly chasing the ball. That's exactly what they've been doing in this opening 9 minutes of the second half.
Quansah has it halfway line, just to the left of the centre circle. Tsimikas, who's stepped inside, able to bring it under control, and eventually Liverpool have it on the right hand side with Doak and Harvey Elliott, and just really controlling the ball in front of Leicester's press. Leicester waiting to pounce and waiting to get the ball back, but unlike what we saw in the first 20, 25, maybe a push 30 minutes, when they do get the ball back, they've not got the pace to really step inside. So a strike from goal just goes just wide of Mads Hemmingsson's post. I think it was James McConnell in the end who took the strike. Left-footed, the young man, from around 19, 20 yards out. It fell to him, and he's saying that Mads Hemmingson got a fingertip on that to tip it round the post. Either way, it goes wide. Goal kick Leicester, 3-0 it remains to Liverpool. And they've got it back here with Diaz onto his right foot. Diaz takes a deflection off of Vestergaard and goes out for another corner. Liverpool's fourth of the game, second of the half, 3-0.
Well, I think you're starting to see now. I said there will be mistakes at trying to play out like this. It's Vestergaard again. That's a really poor ball. He makes up for it in the end by throwing himself in front of the Diaz shot, but you can't afford to give the ball away as many times as we are doing at playing out, and it shows there's still discrepancies in that system. Delivery into the area, header at the near post, goes over the bar from Liverpool. It goes off the head of Joel Matip for a Leicester City goal kick. How concerned are you, Pipes, with what you've seen
after the kind of first goal went in for Liverpool?
Yeah, clearly a lot now, and I think this was the massive unfortunate factor that Tottenham game got called off, because you want to see this kind of play and philosophy tested against the top sides. Is it robust enough? Are you good enough at it yet to play that way? And I think what we're seeing from sort of 30 minutes onwards, that Leicester aren't yet. There's far too many mistakes. We can accept that they're going to give it away at times for the reasons why we stated earlier, but there's far too many happening in this game, and you've got to think, if you're giving the ball away 5-6 times against Coventry on the edge of your own box, you're going to struggle.
There'll be a delivery into Leicester's box here, pulled to the penalty spot as Casey McAteer tries to get around Joe Gomez, but bullied out a little bit there. McAteer delivery into the area, Castagna heads it away, picked up by Albrighton dragged to the ground by Luis Diaz. So that's going to be free kick Leicester midway inside their own half in an inside right channel.
To take a positive from it, you want to see it tested against these top sides, because he'll be able to see where the discrepancies are, what kind of personnel he'll be thinking of switching before the Coventry game. The fact that he stayed with this side going into the second half leads you to believe that a lot of the guys that are out there at the minute are going to be his starters in that Coventry game, unless we get some of the injured players back.
Ball forward, looking for Diaz. He's got a man on the overlap. Diaz onto his right foot, still trying to force a way forward. Picked up by Harvey Elliott, 25 yards out. Striker goal saved by Hemmingson. This time takes it in the air, dives to his left-hand side, and is able to pull it away from danger. And as you rightly say, Pipes, this is a good opportunity for Enzo Maresca to see this system fully tested, but also there are going to be no team in the Championship who are going to have the quality of Liverpool, and you wonder whether that might be this is why it may be a good place for Enzo Maresca to start his management career in England, actually, so he gets a season against good quality opposition, but not the real top quality opposition in English football, to make sure the system is right, because it's going to take a while to implement.
Yeah, of course it is, but it's still concerning seeing that the amount of mistakes made when we're only a week out with no other games scheduled to play before that. So big loss. I know it was only a pre-season friendly, but a big loss having that Tottenham game called off, because I think playing in that game would have helped us to refine it a little bit, and then coming into this game it would have helped us a lot.
And down the right hand side, Liverpool looking to break Leicester down again. They've won themselves another corner, I think, their fifth of the game, their third in the second half. Oh no, it's not been given as a corner. Originally it was. It's now been scrubbed off. It's going to be a Leicester goal kick. Ricardo wearing the captain's armband. We still don't know who's Leicester's club captain is going to be this season, Pipes. I think it's probably safe to assume that Johnny Evans is not going to sign the extension offer to him by Leicester, which, according to reports, is still on the table, despite a short-term deal for him being signed at Manchester United.
Yeah, I thought that was done and dusted, that he'd be with them for the season.
It was only a short-term deal. First change for Leicester. Off goes Mark Albrighton. On comes another young academy product, Wanya Marcel Madavidua. Seems to be getting quite the applause.
Alisson comes on for Liverpool as well.
Is that maybe where the applause was headed, I wonder?
I think
so. So on the hour mark then, Alisson comes on for Liverpool, and Wanya Marcel Madavidua comes on for Mark Albrighton for Leicester, which will give Leicester a bit more pace down the left-hand side. Here goes McAteer coming forward. He's fouled in the end by Szoboszlai.
Oh, it was nice, little nutmeg. He's actually switched onto the right-hand side, McAteer, to allow space on the left for Madavidua. He came inside, little nutmeg on Tsimikas, and then fouled in the centre of the park. Looked pacey though, direct. McAteer.
Leicester have given it away. Harry Winks has been intercepted. Szoboszlai looking to lob Mats Hemmingsen, who heads it wide.
What a save.
Mats Hemmingsen, I don't think he knew where exactly he was. Szoboszlai caught him off guard as Leicester lost the ball in the middle of the park, and Hemmingsen rises like a salmon to head it past his own goal. 3-0 Liverpool.
Well, it would have been a certain goal. Szoboszlai takes it off Winks far too easily.
Wow.
And Max Hemmingsen backing up, didn't realise, I think he might have been able to catch it. He was just back in his penalty area, but because he was backing up, he didn't see it, so he had to head it. It was a brilliant save with his head.
It was. Tipped it round the post with his forehead.
Unconventional, but an absolute brilliant save.
Well, as long as you keep him out the back of the net pipes, guess it doesn't really matter how you do it.
Yeah.
Throw in Leicester on the right-hand side, just on level with the edge of their D in their own half. Taken by Castagna, given away though, picked up by Gakpo, right-footed, tries to switch the play, looking for Doak on the far side, picked up though by Ricardo, and now Dewsbury Hall breaking forward. He's got Marcel Madavadou in front of him. Dewsbury Hall keeps possession though and goes backwards into Doyle.
Yeah, that was good. Tried to play forward, wasn't really on. So instead of sort of dribble into an area where he thought he'd get outnumbered, turned back out, kept the ball.
Vestergaard gives it away, and now a race on between Diaz and Castagna, which Diaz wins, and then Castagna is able to stick a foot in, but in the process gives away a corner.
Well as Vestergaard started the game in possession, I thought it was brilliant. Had a couple of headers from corners in Liverpool's penalty area. Rose well in those, but you know, since that 30-minute mark and conceding that first goal, I think he's been awful. He's given the ball away far too often. He's trying clip passes into midfield that aren't reaching their target, and it's allowing Liverpool to break on us at every opportunity.
It's going to be a corner that Liverpool will deliver into the area. It's towards the near post, towards the back post, and header flicked on towards the back post, and the header goes in. Liverpool have their fourth. A corner low into the near post, flicked onto the back post, and in the end it's Ben Doak who heads in past Mats Hemmingsen and makes it Liverpool 4, Leicester City 0.
Well, it's a little ball into the near post. I think it was Matip that flicks it on. It's a well-worked corner. You can see they've, you know, played for that. No one really defending Doak at the back post. Gets a little nodded header in, just inside the 6-yard box, into an empty net, really. And that cricket score that I started to talk about that we needed to guard against is starting to happen.
This is not the ideal way for Leicester to be ending their pre-season campaign. It was always going to be difficult, of course it was, against Premier League Liverpool. With Leicester learning a new style without Jamie Vardy and a couple of other key players, including Connor Cody. But after a good start, they're showing their real fragility as Luis Diaz wins a free kick against Timothy Castagna, who was dragging him back, doing everything he could to stop Diaz from breaking forward, the Colombian. And Castagna picks up a yellow card for his troubles, and quite rightly so as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. He didn't even let go of him after the free kick was given. He's been poor today for me, Castagna. Been out of position, got beaten too easily, under the ball on crosses. And if he does still harbour ambition to move on from Leicester this summer, he's not doing his CV too well this afternoon.
No. He's not, and not many of these Leicester City players, if they are wanting to move on, are either. It's going to be very, very interesting to see who Enzo Maresca selects in his first 11. A week today against Coventry City. We've played nearly 70 minutes. You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester. Owen Palmer-Atkin, Matt Piper and Jack Rafferty with you for the final pre-season game for Leicester City against Liverpool in Singapore. And breaking forward now is Tsimikas, edge of the area, is Gakpo, right-footed, good save by Mads Hemmingsen, got down low to his right-hand side and tips it round the post for another Liverpool corner. 68, or just got it to 68 on the clock. 4-0 it remains.
Well, I think what we'd say is, whereas we took into account the teams that we were playing against previously, Northampton, Peterborough, Leuven, I think you have to do that with Liverpool, because the golfing class now is huge. And, you know, yes, we did start the game well, but I think they went up a couple of levels and we've not been able to stick with it. I think that's just the way it is.
Delivery corner into the box, it's flicked on. The referee does give a free kick in the end, I think against a foul on Yannick Vestergaard, so it's going to be a Leicester City free kick inside their own 18-yard box. How many pipes of the 11 that's currently out there starts next week, do you think? A week today.
It's hard to tell, because you're thinking it's his final opportunity to play a team that he's actually thinking of before Coventry, and the fact that he's not made many changes at half-time leads you to believe this is a lot of the team that he's going to go into that first game with.
Dewsbury Hall spreads the play into McAteer, corner of the box, right-hand side. McAteer delivers into the area. It was Lowell on the floor, but lacked any real pace and conviction. Allison gathers well, and then right-footed, launches it forward. Maybe a chance on here for Diaz. Diaz is offside. Not happy, the Colombian.
Yeah, I don't think the linesman gave it. I don't know what. I think it was a foul that the referee gave in the end. I don't know why. Jurgen Klopp's going nuts on the sideline. Mind you, that's nothing unusual for him.
No, he's asking what the infringement was when he can't have been offside.
Saying handball, I think.
The referee didn't indicate, did he? Just blew his whistle and pointed that it was a free kick. Showed no indication of what the infringement was for. Either way, though, Leicester City take the free kick, and just coming up to 70 minutes on the clock, find themselves 4-0 down. But as we were saying, Pipes, I mean, you would expect Mads Hemmingsen to be the number one this season.
I think so.
Ricardo is clearly a massive part of what Enzo Maresca's trying to do. Callum Doyle, of course, will be as well. Winks and Kieran Dewsbury Hall, big parts.
Yeah, and Didi, I think, in this new sort of 8 position that he's got him playing. And then I think he's looking at, you know, his injury list, because if Vardy's fit, I think he plays. Clearly, Conor Cody, I mean, we're hearing that his injury might be, you know, a number of weeks, months rather than days, so you're thinking he's probably going to miss out. Jack made a point at half-time that, you know, Harry Souttar isn't really...
He's not been given a sniff, really, has he?
He hasn't. He looks like he prefers Vestergaard over him. I think Vestergaard started well, but you've seen the discrepancies in his game that we all worry about. Made some mistakes out there.
And then you've got Wout Foss, who isn't in the squad today. Didn't play against Port FC either.
I think it could be a slight knock with Wout Foss. I mean, we don't know, we've not been told, but the fact that he was down to play against Tottenham,
and then 4 days later was not in the squad, and then
not
today not in the squad.
You're thinking that he's injured rather than he's just out of favour, unless he's got a move on the horizon.
Steffi Mavididi is a player that could be playing for Leicester in that first game. Ball play forward, Ndidi into the box now. Wilfred Ndidi, right-footed, twisting, turning, lays it off for a strike for Daka, and it's blocked away. Picked up though by Dewsbury Hall, edge of the area. Dewsbury Hall into the box, still has it for Leicester. Goes wide to Wanya Marcel Madavadua, and he goes backwards towards Callum Doyle, and the move breaks down slightly. I can't believe Wilfred Ndidi didn't shoot in that area. Picked up though by Ricardo. Ricardo threads it through to Dewsbury Hall. Left footed Dewsbury Hall, it goes wide. Flashes past the post. Casey McAteer maybe a yard behind it where he should have been to maybe tap it in, but perhaps that's being a little bit too strict on him. But Dewsbury Hall almost finding the bottom corner.
Yeah, and the ball gets stuck under Ndidi's foot. Should have scored. Just going back to the original chance. It was good play from Leicester. Couple of changes. I think, is that Iheanacho? It's just entered the action for Daka.
I think so. Iheanacho is certainly on the pitch for Patson Daka. So another change for Leicester. Oh, would you?
James Justin for Castagna.
Again, James Justin, another player who's not really featured too much in pre-season.
Well, how he's not getting an opportunity in front of Castagna, I have no idea. Listen, Castagna's a good player, but we've heard rumblings that he wants to move on, and then the type of players that I was hoping Maresca would just sort of leave on the sidelines, especially when you've got a talent like James Justin. I think he can play a number of positions across the back. I think he's excellent in a 3. So it suits the system Maresca wants to play. Clearly he can't play him right back because that's where Ricardo is, and then obviously steps into midfield. But James Justin playing left back, I think he's a better option than Castagna.
Well, Ricardo's actually stayed at left back and James Justin's gone in at right back here, Pipes.
Well, maybe that's the way to go. That's probably why he's having a look at it. He might be thinking like me and thought, well, Castagna, at this sort of, if he's not at the top of his game, he's a liability in that back line at times, isn't it?
I think at Northampton Town, when you were there with Jack, I think Doyle played at left back, didn't he, on that day, and it was Cody and one other at the back line with Fast, was it?
Yeah.
At centre half. As Diaz lifts the ball into the area, maybe a striker goal, maybe a 5th, saved by Hemmingson. Diaz might be there and heads it into the back of the net. Started the move, finishes the move. 73.5 minutes played. Liverpool have a 5th. But then Luis Diaz finds out the flag goes up for an infringement on an offside earlier in the move, and it remains 4-0 to Liverpool. And Diaz not happy, can't believe it. Oh,
it was actually the original pass.
Yeah.
Oh, it's that one. When he shoots and Max Hemmingson, really good save actually from Max Hemmingson, sends the ball up into the sky, it's headed across, and then Diaz nods it in. He's gutted. Thought he got his first goal of pre-season. Wasn't to be.
Liverpool though back in possession in their back line, with Konstantinas Tsimikas lifts it over the top. Diaz looks to try and get it again here. Corner of the box, left hand side, couple of step overs, takes on Justin, right footed strike straight down the throat of Mads Hemmingson, who saves well this time. The young Danish keeper. 75 minutes played. It's Liverpool 4, Leicester City 0.
Yeah. I think what you say about this is, I mean, it's 4-0, it could be 5-6. We've had a couple of disallowed goals, a couple of offsides, but they're sort of peppering Leicester's goal, and they have been really from 30 minutes onwards. But we do have to take into account it is Liverpool, and it is a full-flowing Liverpool.
Seen another change here. Off goes Harry Winks and on comes Hamza Chowdhury.
29 shirt, Chowdhury this season.
Yeah.
He better not let me down. That's a special shirt, that. Special number.
I'm sure when he was allocated that number. I mean, the full list of numbers is still yet to be officially announced, but he's been wearing that one all pre-season. I'm sure every time he puts it on, he thinks, I'm adorning greatness here.
I'm sure he doesn't.
It's a famous number in Leicester City history. When you go down to the club shop after this, Pipes, and get your away shirt, you can get 29 Pipes on the back.
I think I'm going to save that for another day. We started the game really well. Oh, that's nice.
Dewsbury Hall twisting, turning, edge of the area, strikes a goal, saved by Alisson. Was able to wriggle away from 2 or 3 Liverpool men, get his strike away. I think it took a bit of a nick on the way through and took the pace out of the ball. Alisson throws it from his 18-yard box to almost the halfway line to find Diaz. Harvey Elliott bullied off the ball by Dewsbury Hall halfway line. Is he able to keep it? Dewsbury Hall rides a challenge. Back now with Marcel Madavadua, plays a neat 1-2 with Wilfred Ndidi, and right-footed switches the play now into the feet of Casey McAteer. Wants to try and take a run on at Tsimikas maybe. Into the box he goes, and in the end fouls. I think it was Quansah that he fouled in the end, the Liverpool central defender, so it's going to be a free kick inside their own 18-yard box. 77 played, Liverpool 4, Leicester 0.
Yeah, just caught him top of his foot. Nice little move from Leicester. We've not said that too much in the second half. Moved the ball left to right. Got McAteer on the ball. Madavadua stepping inside.
Here come Liverpool again. Down the right-hand side with Gomez, level with the penalty spot. Maybe a chance for McConnell to deliver. Back with Harvey Elliott. And Liverpool just keeping possession with just over 10 minutes to play now here on BBC Radio Leicester and at the National Stadium in Singapore. Luis Diaz just quite nonchalantly rolls the ball back to Quansah, and now with Joel Matip. Kelechi Iheanacho not really had too much of a sniff as the ball is delivered back to the corner of the box, right hand side for McConnell. Maybe a strike at goal is there. Harvey Elliott still in possession for Liverpool, and they're taking their time, waiting for a gap in Leicester's defence to appear. Here's Joel Matip, dead centre, halfway inside Leicester's half, goes back to Quansah, now with Szoboszlai. And they're just doing what they want now, aren't they, Matt Piper? Seeing this game out.
Yeah, they have. They more or less have done from 30 minutes onwards, I think. You know, as soon as they got that first goal, it seemed such a contrast, because we were talking Leicester up first 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden Liverpool just put it together.
Delivery into the area, falls to Szoboszlai on the volley over the bar. Brought it down on his knee.
He looks good, doesn't it?
He does. Tried to take the striker goal. The Hungary international, 65 million quid from RB Leipzig this month, but volleys it over the bar on this occasion. 4-0 it remains, just over 10 minutes remaining. We're going to get another change for Liverpool here. Szoboszlai getting, he's only had 30 minutes.
Yeah, just easing him in, Jurgen Klopp, because I don't think he's injured. That's 30 minutes and then off. That would have been pre-planned before the game.
So Szoboszlai off. On comes Scanlon. Gakpo has it now though with Harvey Elliott. 10 minutes remaining here on BBC Radio Leicester Sport. Owen Palmer-Atkin alongside former Foxes winger Matt Piper and Jack Rafferty. The delivery into the area looking for Gakpo, bobbling around in there. Hemminson can't keep it in, and the referee gives a goal kick to Leicester as we bring you, as we say, dedicated coverage of Leicester City's final pre-season game of their tour of Thailand and Singapore. Played 2 games whilst they were out there. The game against Spurs was called off due to torrential rain, quite frankly, and a waterlogged pitch. But they did play Port FC, a Thai side, one of the better Thai sides on Wednesday in a 1-0 win, and they're finishing their pre-season campaign with what's going to be quite a heavy defeat to Liverpool, currently 4-0 down, all ahead of the start of the new Championship season next weekend, when Leicester City will take on Coventry City in the M69 derby here at King Power Stadium. First M69 derby in a very, very long time. I guess you would have never played in one of the M69 derbies, would you, Pipes?
I did. No.
You'll be here to experience it with us, though.
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to it. I was in an event last night and I was saying it. I think this season, just as Liverpool are on the attack again, which we seem to be saying all
the time.
Half,
as Tsimikas tried to deliver, it's blocked away. Go on, Pipes.
Yeah, so at an event last night, and people were saying sort of, what did I think of this pre-season tour, and was it a mistake? I think, we can all look at it and say that, currently as it's going on, and then the shambles of last week when the Tottenham game gets called off, clearly not ideal preparation, but the time we'll be able to tell, whether it was a mistake or not, it is by the use of hindsight. And after that first game, I really do think so. We'll look at the levels of the players against another Championship side that has had a pre-season tour in this country and played the sort of games that a lot of the fans wanted Leicester to have played. I understand why the club did it and went over there, but it could be a mistake. We'll find out sort of after that Coventry game. Beat to Coventry, didn't look fit enough, 4-0 down at 60 minutes against Cov, say for instance. The club is going to come under severe criticism at that point then, that they messed up the whole of the pre-season, and they probably should have made different plans when we did get relegated out of the Premier League.
Yeah, and that's the same discussion, isn't it, that I think many people I know we've been having, the balancing up of the financial rewards of playing a pre-season tour like this and increasing the fan base in Thailand and in Asia, across that side of the world.
Yeah, I mean,
versus the benefits of a home pre-season where you play Burton and Chesterfield and MK Dons.
Yeah, and I used that as a point last night, and some guy in the crowd highlighted how, and the guys on the panel who were with me as well highlighted the fact how commercially beneficial was a trip like this. And also the fan base is already strong over there because of the King Power ownership. So how much are we growing the fan base? So they called that into question, which I thought was interesting, and a point well made, I thought. So a friend of the show, Jake Watson, who works over at TalkSport, he's the one that highlighted some of those questions as well. So I took that into account, but as I say, we turn up sort of this time next Sunday, the game gets started, and Leicester look fresh. The Maresca ball is coming together, and we win the football match. Hopefully we will. I think we'd quickly forget about what's happened this summer, if you understand what I mean. If we don't, lots of fingers will be pointed at the football club that it was a mistake, to go out there with this tour, especially in torrential rain season.
Monsoon season.
Season.
It was very wet for a few hours a day, really. The irony of it is that based on the thunderstorms that I had seen whilst I was out there, Pipes, the only real time that game would have been unplayable was at the time it was given. And the thunderstorms that had happened the days before and what followed afterwards would not have called that game off. I don't think it would just happen to be that one, but that just feels very Leicester City-like.
Yeah. There's a few things over this pre-season that seem very Leicester City-like. I mean, the one that baffles me, Conor Coder, never injured in his whole career. He's had a glittering career. What is he now, 30 years old, 29, 30 years old? So he's been playing a hell of a long time. Gets to Leicester, he's here for 2 weeks, and now he's out with a foot injury. It's like, oh my word. You can't get more Leicester than that.
Going to be another change here for Liverpool. Quansah coming off the centre-back for Fraundorf. With just 4 minutes remaining in Singapore, 4 minutes remaining of Leicester's pre-season tour, plus some added time, I'm sure. And it looks like Liverpool are going to go on to lift the Singapore trophy, Matt Piper. Get their first piece of silverware of the season.
Yeah. But no one would have won anything if it was a draw.
Yeah, it would just have been a draw. Which is just the nature of the tour. And these games that they're playing in is Yannick Vestergaard has just rammed his shoulder and arm into the back of the head of Luis Diaz.
Yeah, it's not a clever challenge.
It was a little bit of it's a robust tackle, isn't it? I feel like it's the sort of thing that Jerry Taggart may have got away with all those years ago, but perhaps not now. 3 minutes to play then. You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport. Liverpool taking on Leicester City in the Foxes' final pre-season game, as we've been saying. The first game of the season kicks off a week today against Coventry City here at King Power Stadium, where this place will be rammed. It'll be raucous, it'll be ready for an M69 derby as Leicester face their first season in the Championship for 10 years. Delivery by Tsimikas towards the back post from the free kick. It's too heavy, goes all the way through. Picked up by Ricardo, who's still playing at left back.
Are you surprised he's not made more changes?
I am. Especially when you've got the likes of Suter, Nelson, Thomas and Soumare, the only other 4 subs on the bench that he's not used.
He's not used Soumare much at all, has it? This pre-season.
Soumare wasn't due to start against Spurs. He didn't play against Port FC. I think he had some minutes, but not loads.
Well, you've got to think to yourself, he might be one of them that they're looking to try and move on, because if you're Soumare sitting throughout this pre-season and Wilfred Ndidi's getting picked in front of you as a high 8, you're thinking, Gaffer wants me gone, surely.
Yeah. There was no opportunity as yet, and we've never spoken. I don't think Soumare really has ever really spoken about his time at Leicester or spoken about joining the club or anything like that, really. Very rarely you hear from him.
We heard some sort of second-hand information from Soumare through Brendan, didn't we? Just before the start of last season, where Brendan more or less said you can move on if you want to, if we can try, and he said no, he wants to stay, didn't he? He said he wants to stay and prove himself. I thought he started to try and do that actually in some of the opportunities that he got last season, and I thought he might be if he didn't move on, he might be a big feature for us this season. I think his skill set would have been suited to the Championship, but it looks like that's not the case.
How surprised would you be, Pipes, if Leicester and Enzo Maresca, when we rock up here at King Power Stadium next Sunday, played a different team or a largely changed side to the one that we see today because of what Enzo Maresca might have learned about his team on this tour?
Well, I'd be astounded, and that's why I think a lot of the players we're seeing this afternoon or who you see next Sunday, because if you look at Liverpool's fixtures throughout this pre-season and other teams in the Championship, because I've had a look, because I thought, have we done enough preparation? Have we, played the right amount of games? Have we got the right fitness level? Because arguably you get most of your fitness from these pre-season games. You can do all the running you want, but there's nothing that gives you fitness like, matches and competitive matches, pre-season friendlies. And Leicester haven't played many pre-season games, I don't think, especially to the level that I think is required. So that's a little bit worrying. So you're thinking he's going to have to play most of the guys that he wants to start against Coventry in this game, otherwise they're not going to be fit enough. They're not going to be as well drilled and in sync with the way Maresca wants to play.
Kelechi Iheanacho, as you say that, heads the ball over the bar from a James Justin free kick. He got himself and wriggled himself free for a free header at the near post, really. Kelechi Iheanacho should be doing better here. Just 50p heads it over the bar. As we enter the final minute of this game, we are into the two minutes of added time that have been added on at the end of this one. So Leicester City's pre-season campaign started with Peterborough United behind closed doors. They played Northampton Town at Six Fields. They then played another behind closed doors game against OH Leuven, their sister club. Their match against Tottenham was cancelled at the Rajamangala National Stadium in Bangkok because of monsoon season. They then beat a local Thai side, Port FC, by 1-0 and have been battered really by Liverpool at the National Stadium in Singapore.
Well, if he wants to talk it up, he's got to, most of that will come from the first 30 minutes. We haven't seen anything of positive note, I don't think, since that point.
Tsimikas corner into the area, may fall edge of the area, strike volley over the bar for Liverpool. And there goes the full-time whistle. Liverpool have beaten Leicester City by 4-0 to end their pre-season campaign as Enzo Maresca's final dress rehearsal for the clash with Coventry City at King Power Stadium a week today. They've been beaten by 4-0, and after showing promise in the opening 20-25 minutes or so, they crumbled in 8 minutes to concede 3 goals, and there are some concerning fragilities that perhaps need to be fixed before the first game of the Championship season next Sunday. The goals came from Darwin Núñez in the 30th minute, Bobby Clark in the 35th, Diogo Jota in the 38th, and then Ben Doak in the 64th to finish Leicester City off and leave it full time at the Singapore National Stadium as Liverpool 4, Leicester City 0. Here are the closing thoughts of former Foxes winger Matt Piper.
Well, I was really excited before the game to see Maresca ball and his new style, his philosophy, and how the players have taken that on board against the top side and one of the best sides in the world, really. And Liverpool started really strong there, and for 30 minutes I thought it was brilliant, the way that they played through the aggressive press of Liverpool and transitioned the ball and created some opportunities against such a good side, and then the first goal went in, which was against the run of play around about 30 minutes. And as you say, Owen, within those 8 minutes, between 30 and 38 minutes, Leicester did really fold. They crumbled. There was no real leadership out there. There was no one that calmed it down and tried to keep it tight and keep the game close. And Liverpool stepped up a gear or two, I think, and then controlled the rest of the first half and most of the second half. And there were far too many mistakes in there. And as I say, with this philosophy and style of play and the way that Maresca wants to play, we're going to have to accept as a fan base that they are going to make mistakes at times, but that was far too many and far too often. And if that happens next week against Coventry, I think we'll be in big trouble. So, yeah, a lot to do when they get back from Singapore and iron out in the week to come. But, I think we've got to take the positives out of that first 30 minutes. That's certainly what I'll be doing. Hopefully, Mav Didi is signed and announced, because I think we need some more excitement about a new signing coming in, and then who knows, maybe one more as cover for the Connor Cody injury, because I think we did really lack that leadership throughout that game. So yeah, I was excited. Liverpool's Liverpool, so they're a top side, but hopefully better to come next week for Leicester when we get the season kicked off.
There will be further assessment of pre-season as a whole and the tour as you've mentioned before, Pipes. But talking about the 90 minutes we've just seen, you said then about the mistakes and there being a lot of mistakes. Let's not beat around the bush here. It was a lot, and they gave the ball away a lot to Liverpool. for you, is that because it is Liverpool, and let's be honest, they are one of the best pressing teams in world football, or are there enough indicators for you that concern you that the philosophy and the Enzo way just hasn't quite clicked yet?
Yeah, I don't think it has. I think it will take a while, and it will take, patience from not just Maresca and his team, but I think the fan base. I think, the way that he wants to play, it is risky. It is a risky way of playing football, but if you get it right, the rewards are huge. So, listen, I'm not coming here and sort of battering the team or the way Maresca plays. He's only been our manager for, 2 months? 6 weeks, 2 months. He's had 4 or 5 games with his team. He's not had that long to work with them. It's not been ideal being on this tour, if we're honest. And it is going to take, time to, evolve the way that he wants to play and make sure that, that's transmitted to the squad and the players. But, one indicator that I look at is how the players have been talking about the new manager, and they, and experienced players as well. Cody said some really positive things about him. Winks has. Vardy has. So listen, I'm confident in the manager. I think we just played one of the best sides in the world in Liverpool, and they have got an aggressive press, and it is difficult to play through at the best of times. Sometimes they make Man City give the ball away. But I think it's a mix of the two at the minute. I think how aggressive they were and how cohesive they were with their press was really difficult for us at times to play through, and you're going to make mistakes against it. I think we've seen that. And then the patience that we need to allow him the time to develop this with his team, because they did make unforced errors at times as well. It wasn't just how aggressive the press was from Liverpool. They did make some mistakes, and then Vestergaard in the second half just decided to give it away for fun. It was like he was a Liverpool player. He just started clipping the ball to Liverpool more often than not, and then you invite the pressure. Listen, we kept the score down in the second half, didn't we? It could have turned into a cricket score. That's what I was worried about at the end of the first half. That didn't happen. I'll take the positives from that first 30 minutes, and if we can play more like that against Coventry, I think we can have a good Sunday next week.
Talk to us about that first 30 minutes. What is it that you saw that did get you excited? Because you were absolutely buzzing about 20 minutes in. You were very excited.
I was, and that's why it was such a flip, wasn't it? Such a change throughout the game, because they were good. I think they lost a little bit of confidence. They lost a little bit of confidence when the goal went in. It sort of knocked them a little bit, and then that's where you're really looking for that leadership to, batten down the hatches, keep the group and the mentality together, and that didn't happen. That was non-existent. You're not going to get it from your 23-year-old goalkeeper who's a new signing who's just come in, and I didn't see it from anyone on the pitch. Normally you're looking at players like Conor Cody that we've seen this season do that. Jamie Vardy does it when he's in the side, and we just didn't see that. Walt Farce, I think, to a certain extent, does it. He wasn't in the team today, so they really struggled, I think, with that lack of leadership throughout that important time, and that's why I said I hope their heads don't drop, and unfortunately they did.
Does it make the injury to Cody slightly more concerning than it had been before this game? I mean, clearly it was already a concern because he has been brought in for that leadership. There was no getting around it. You don't sign Conor Cody without that being the case. And when I spoke to him after the Northampton game, he spoke really well about how he loves doing that. It's a natural part of his game, and he wanted to continue doing that at Leicester. We saw in the behind closed doors games, he was the one telling the attacking players when to go and press, leading from the back. So how big of a blow when not only it's one of your leaders that is injured, but actually someone who you have specifically brought in this summer to be that guy?
Yeah, exactly that. And you say one of the leaders, he's probably the only leader, the only natural leader that I see at the minute in this squad. I think Dewsbury Hall could become that. He isn't that yet, though. So it's a huge blow. There's no getting around it. I think you've seen some of the interviews that I've seen the manager do, and when he spoke on Coda of recent days and the fact that it looks like a bad one. You can see the disappointment in his face. I think, was his first signing, or at least it was either him or Winks. No, Cody was his first signing, and to play this way, if you're coming in as a manager to this group, and you would have looked over video from last season, you would have understood the story of Leicester and how they've gone from, FA Cup winners, 5th, 8th, and then all of a sudden just dropping off the edge of a cliff. One of the areas you would identify that you need to change immediately and try and help bolster is the fact that they haven't got a leader. There's no leadership off the pitch. There was no leadership on the pitch from any of the players that we saw last season, and that was a huge contributing factor, I think, for why we did sort of drop off the edge of a cliff with our form and the way that things happened last season. So you're thinking, right, we need to identify a leader. Who can we go and bring in that also fits the philosophy of how we want to play with the ball? That's Connor Cody down to a T, and you can understand now why that was his first signing. You're not just getting a ball-playing centre-back, you're getting a leader. And now he's injured, and it could be for a number of weeks, months. That's disastrous for Leicester.
Are you worried as well, because this was a friendly against Liverpool? Granted, it's Liverpool, but it was a pre-season friendly in a half-empty stadium in Singapore. Yes, you want to impress the fans, but the pressure is going to be nowhere near what it's going to be in this place at the King Power next Sunday. First game of the season, full crowd against your M69 rivals. Are you concerned about the level of potential crumble in that circumstance? We've just seen them, as you mentioned, Leicester City were playing really well for the first 25-30 minutes, and then yet by half-time they were 3-0 down. Does that worry you?
Yeah, and I think this style of play and the way that Maresca wants to play, if you don't get it right, especially at home in front of hopefully 30-odd thousand, it's a cauldron, isn't it? And it's going to be more difficult. And don't forget, fans are coming back from a summer off of having one of the most horrendous seasons ever, especially at home. Some of the goals we conceded, some of the games that we lost here last year, that'll still be fresh in the mind. So all of a sudden, you come here and you're trying to play out with Hemmingson, and if Vestergaard's in the side, he's taking it on the 6-yard box and playing it to Winks on the 18-yard box, and Coventry players are swarming around you. It's going to be tense in here, and it will be difficult, I think, for the players. But hopefully they stand up to that. You're hoping that they will. Some of those, Ricardo's, a really experienced player now. Winks is a really experienced player. We've got lots of experience, balanced with that youth and energy. And it's such an important game. It really is, because it's the start of something new. It's at home. It's an M69 derby. We've just been relegated out of the Premier League, and you want to get off to a really good start. I made the comparison last night. I probably shouldn't have, and I shouldn't do it now on the radio, but I'm going to. It feels like I made a comparison back to the time when Peter Taylor come in and we played Bolton in that first game. And he had a new style and a way of playing. He had signed some new players, and you thought, this is, I'm excited. This could go either way. These players could come in, his new style, against a team like Bolton. We could go and really set us up for a good season if we get a good win on that first game. We ended up getting beat 5-0.
I remember it far too well. It was, devastating.
Well, exactly. And it feels to me that this is kind of like that. I'm waiting with bated breath for this game on next Sunday, because I don't know which way it's going to go. I don't think we've seen enough over pre-season to think Leicester are going to come out the traps and it's going to be 4-0 at half-time. I mean, it could be with some of the football that we've seen, but then we've also seen that fragility, lack of leadership, still them not getting the and it is going to take time and patience, but it's still, Maresca will probably say in his pre-match press conference today, there's still a lot to work on. In the post-match press conference, there's still a lot to work on. The team clearly haven't got it as well drilled as they want to going into the first game of the season. So it's going to be a lot of work in this week coming up, I think.
It's interesting you mentioned that work still to do, because yes, there will be concern that if it hasn't quite clicked yet, it could be a tough start to the season. Like, it was a tough morning, afternoon, whatever we're calling it, because of time differences and stuff. But there has been signs. I remember, the way we were talking after the Northampton game, there were certain individual performances, and I'm thinking sort of the connection between Ricardo and Harry Winks, that sort of thing. There are bits that will get us and the fans excited, but how long is an affordable time frame to give that to work, if you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I'm hopefully I'm not sending this chat down an area of doom and gloom, because I'm not feeling like that at all. I think we do need to be patient with the manager and the way that he wants to play. That first 30 minutes I thought was brilliant. The combination play between Winks and Ricardo again was really good. Hermansen, I thought, played out brilliantly. He's clearly really confident with the ball at his feet. I thought Vestergaard was good in that first 30 minutes. Some of the passes that he was making. Callum Doyle wasn't involved too much. I thought Castagna was poor today, even in that first 30 minutes. I thought, he was out of position at times, and I thought he really struggled. I thought Keenan...
Did you find it interesting, sorry to interrupt, that it was Castagna at right back and Ricardo at left back? Ricardo still being the one inverted and coming into the middle, but did you find it interesting that was switched up?
We did, but then we realised why I think the manager went with that. You don't want Vestergaard on the outside up against someone like Jota, and that's what would have happened, because if Ricardo played right back, Vestergaard plays the right hand side of the two in the middle, as does and Callum Doyle plays the left hand side, and then you would have had Castagna at left back. If Ricardo was the one stepping in, it means that your outside man in a transition would have been Vestergaard against Jota, which is just, it's hare and tortoise territory, isn't it? He would have just got burnt every time. So I think that's the reason why they did it. But I thought Ricardo was good today. I think he's such a clever footballer. He can do it from both sides, whether you play him, right back or left back, stepping into that middle area, and when to do it and when not to do it, more importantly. I think he's really good at that.
Let's try and keep this positive feeling and at least glass half full feeling going. Who else were individuals for you that you were excited by, or at least saw glimpses of positivity from?
Young Casey McAteer, I thought, looked positive. I thought he looked faster than I thought he was. Got into some nice areas. Yeah, made the wrong option on occasion, which Kiernan Dewsbury Hall let him know. But I was pleased with his work. Daka looked to get in some really good positions that first 30 minutes, but then does things that you're thinking, what are you doing? Some of his touches and decisions, and he's got to work. I think Daka's a work in progress. I do like him, but he's nowhere near the finished article, I don't think. And Dide playing this sort of high 8 position, a lot more advanced in the pitch than we used to seeing Wilfred Ndidi. I think his timing and his areas that he arrives in is good. I think he's a natural for that. Got to work on his finishing. We've said that for years. I think we've seen it again this morning. He got into some really nice areas, but didn't really make Kelleher work. Albrighton was typical Albrighton, gave it everything, had some nice quality when he was on the ball, but I don't think you can rely on him as your out and out right winger for the season. I just don't. I think he's too old now. He faded as the game went on. So listen, there's some positives in there really is, and I'm hopefully not setting up as doom and gloom for that first game. I'm still excited. I still think there'll be players that move on, and hopefully new players that come in, because I think it's needed.
I always find pre-season so interesting, because a team can perform really well, but if it's against League 2 opposition, League 1 opposition like Northampton Town, people are always going to say, oh, well, it's only Northampton, or if it's against Port FC, it's just Port FC. So in a way, do we need to take a step back and look at this and say, this was Liverpool, and Liverpool... they had their struggles last season and didn't make it into the Champions League, but they look like they're going to be really strong again this year.
Yeah, they do, and I think I said that in commentary. I said we have to take into account, as we did, playing lower league opposition and Port FC in the week. It is lower league, so you can't get too excited when they play brilliant football against lower league and they're not tested as often. And similarly, you have to do the same when you play top teams. We are playing one of the best sides in the world. The difficulty for me, and I think, for Leicester fans this season is, we were only playing the likes of Liverpool last season and we were a Premier League outfit. Now you've been relegated. It's hard to sometimes switch your mentality and think, it's Liverpool and we're only a Championship side. I still feel Premier League. You understand what I mean? So, that'll be a difficult transition for our mind frames. But why I was really looking forward to this is, are you going to continue to play that risky football that we saw against Northampton, Peterborough, Leuven and Port FC? And we did. And are we going to see the same results as we've seen against them teams? And can you play through it? For half an hour, we did. And that's why I got so excited. And then the discrepancies started to creep in. I thought when Liverpool got that first goal, it knocks your confidence a little bit. And then as the game went on, you saw us give the ball away a lot more often because Liverpool started aggressively and the press was there from the start and we played through it. The trouble is with that kind of football is, if you do give it away a couple of times, it's in your head to then think, do I want it in this position? Shall I make that pass? You hesitate for a second, then you try and play it. The picture changes and Liverpool are on you because that's what they do.
Do you think that actually there may have been more of an impact of that side of things, as in the mentality of when things don't quite go to plan in this system? Do we think that potentially there was more of an impact from the Spurs game not happening last weekend, because this did end up being the only game against top opposition when they should have had 90 minutes worth of doing that?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, if let's put it in this way. If it was my kind of mentality when I was playing, and it was one of the poorest things, I think, with me and my makeup as a footballer, especially a younger footballer, I'd be thinking now, the first time we've come up against better opposition and tried to play like that, we've lost 4-0 and we've given the ball away a lot. Now, that's going to be in your mind against Coventry. The good thing is, Winks is a lot more experienced, a lot older than I was. And do I think, from hearing what Owen said about him, and met him a few times out in Thailand, and I've listened to some of his interviews, and clearly I've sort of watched his career before at Tottenham. I think he's got a steely mentality that if he makes a mistake, he's still going to want it in those areas, because that'll be so important, especially this season, under a manager like Maresca. You can't have people that had a mindset like me. If you make a mistake and then you don't want it, because the whole system then is flawed, because you can't play the way you want to play. If Winks and Ricardo are in midfield next weekend and Callum Doyle gets the ball played to him by Hermansen, and they aren't making those movements to get in those pockets around our 18-yard box to play through, the whole system is flawed, because then you've got to change the way that you play in game, which is going to be really difficult. So he needs those strong mentalities in the team that will still do things when they've made a mistake. The slightly worrying thing about today was they made a couple of mistakes and then they made 5, 6, 7, 8, and it kept continuing. Now, clearly that can't happen against even Coventry next week, even though it will be a different level to what we've just played against Liverpool, because I don't think you'd win the football match.
That was the final friendly of pre-season. Ordinarily, you would look at the starting lineup for Leicester City and you would think, okay, that is probably what the manager is going to look at, barring somebody returning from injury or a new signing coming in. You would think that is the lineup he is going to go for. Based on the lineup itself on paper and what you saw today, including the fact that actually that starting lineup stayed on for most of the game. He didn't make mass changes at half-time or anything. Are you expecting to see a lineup similar to that next weekend?
I am, because I just can't see why he would have stuck. If he did what Jurgen Klopp did and changed, 10, 11 players at half-time, I think we'd all still be guessing, thinking, would it be the first half team or the second half team, or is he going to look at sort of mixing players from each half? Because that's what's in my mind about Liverpool now. I know their season doesn't start next week, but if it did, I'd be thinking he's probably going to look at some of the players from the first 11 and some of the players from the second 11 and bring it together. But being the last game of pre-season and our season starts next Sunday against Coventry, you've got to think that the players that he gave most of the time to today, started with and left on for 60, 70 minutes, they're the players that he's looking to start. Now, there will be changes to that, as you say, injuries coming back and people like Vardy being available. I'd fully expect Vardy to go straight into the team. McAteer, for me, would be interesting because I thought he did well, but it's a position what he's hopefully just signed a new player in. So if you're bringing a new player in, you can afford to put a young lad out on left wing and just have a look at him, because you're thinking, well, Mavide is going to come in and play that and be the starter out there against Coventry. So, I think there will be a few slight changes dependent on injury and if he makes some more signings between now and next Sunday.
Well, there will be more reaction to this game on the When You're Smiling podcast tomorrow, before we turn our attention, of course, to that huge Championship opener against Coventry next week. Plenty to come on the pod, and plenty already on there for you to enjoy from Leicester City's tour of Asia. Whilst the Foxes were in Thailand, Owen Palmer-Atkin was out there bringing us everything we needed to know from the City camp. If you haven't had a chance to catch up with it all yet, don't worry, we've put together some of the highlights from the past couple of weeks in Bangkok.
Well, a big thank you to the boys at the King Power today, Jack, Owen and Matt. A tough result for City against Premiership opposition Liverpool today. All ahead, of course, to the 6th of August, next Sunday, when the new Championship season kicks off with the much-anticipated M69 derby against Coventry at home. Hopefully, the Foxes can rebuild, get back on track and go again on fresh heads. We'll see.